quick note before we get started, if your green button is not, if that button is not green, you are not active on your mic. So go ahead and activate your mics, or at least when you're getting ready to speak. With that, we'll do call the order, and if everybody would join us for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for the nice big crowd we have. We do have some public recognition, but we'll get to that here in a minute. First item is the consent agenda. Are there any items or any questions on the consent agenda? All good? All right, with no further discussion, consent agenda passes unanimously. And the next item is public comments, recognition, and correspondence.
We have, Mr. President and Board, we have three very special recognitions this evening. I would like to first start by calling our district school counseling team forward. Last month was Counselor Appreciation Month, and our counselors are here tonight. They will be presenting a special overview of our counseling program and services, but I did want to recognize them. The board wanted to recognize them for all of your valuable contributions as a dedicated counselor and educational professional in service to our students, staff, and community. We would really like to thank you for being there for our students, for their academic, social, emotional needs. I also want to thank you for your leadership in helping us revive the mentoring program in our district. And that is a wonderful program that's providing extra support and assistance to our students. So I want to thank you. And we will start by recognizing Miss Cassidy Euclid. Cassidy is counselor at Knob Noster Elementary, and she is brand new to our team, and we're glad that she's in our Panther family. Our next counselor is Mrs. Jessica Henrich. Thank you, Jessica. We are also welcome Jessica. This is her first year of serving as our Whiteman Elementary counselor, and we're glad to have her part of the family as well. Our next counselor I'd like to recognize is Mrs. Heather Wallace. She, like I, loves Knob Noster because she was here once, left for a short period, and has returned back home. So we're glad to welcome her back to the Panther family, serves as our middle school counselor. And then finally, I would like to recognize, Mr. Ray Maxwell. Thank you so much. Ray is a veteran counselor in our district. We appreciate all he does in serving our high school students. And also Miss Amanda Wesley, who is at professional development training this week and is not here, but she is also our second counselor at the high school. So thank you guys, appreciate it. Dr. Norman, did we get a picture of the group? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. The next individual we'd like to recognize, I would like to welcome forward Miss Amaya Washington and her mother, my former student, Miss Samantha Washington. I can't tell you how proud I am of Amaya. I was opening up a local newspaper late last month, and there was a very special article recognizing Amaya, and I am going to have Amaya and her mother Sam share just a little bit. But Amaya was recognized for overcoming obstacles to success. Amaya is a 6th grade student here at our middle school, and she placed first place at the Regional Braille Challenge at Kansas State School for the Blind earlier this month. It was a reading and typing test, right? Correct? And she was the grand champion of this event. We are so very proud of you, Amaya. And I tell you, I really love the article because it highlighted one of Amaya's favorite things to do is to read. And she wants to go into the helping profession. She's trying to decide whether she wants to be a teacher or a speech pathologist or a nurse or newspaper writer, but she wants to help people. So Amaya, I am so very proud of you, and on behalf of the Board of Education, we would like to present this certificate of recognition, representation, and a job well done representing Knob Noster Middle School at the Regional Braille Challenge. We are very proud of you. She has brought her medal. I'd like her to show her medal, and her mom, we're going to talk just a little bit about the competition.
I think Dr. Lorenz pretty much summed it up fairly well. Amaya was diagnosed with optic nerve hypoplasia when she was 2 months old. And so she's been through early intervention, and she started learning Braille about when she was 3 years old. So it's been a long journey, and this was her first Braille challenge. We went not expecting to win anything, and just to get her out there, get her exposed to it, get her around other children that were similar to her, and she blew it out of the water. Even the head teacher of the visually impaired said she performed better than other students who had previously competed. So I'm very proud of you, Amaya. And then Amaya took some time and wrote each of the board members' names. You can use it as a bookmark.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you very much for your performance. Hi. Great job, young lady. She was very proud of herself. I see that. That is very, very great. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you. I'll have to test my fingers on this, if I can tell the difference. Great job.
Yes, I will definitely. Thank you very much.
This is what it's all about, isn't it? This is why we're here. Helping our kids be successful. And Amaya, we are so very proud of you. So proud of you, and I want to thank her parents and her teachers, counselors, administrators, everyone that's helped her in her journey thus far. She is going to do great, isn't she? And I'm confident she will reach her goals. So I'm very proud of her. We have another very special presentation to make this evening. I would like for Pastor Jordan, David Jordan, to come forward, and all of the members from Knob Noster First Christian Church who help with the zone. And I want to share a little bit about the zone, but I don't know if I'll do it complete justice unless I let Pastor Jordan and Matt Cleveland share a little bit about the zone. And I will have them introduce their members as well that help out. But this devoted team, and I think we might be missing a few members tonight, and members of the First Christian Church, help to provide quality, safe, productive learning experiences for our students on Wednesdays at the First Christian Church through what we call the zone. There's a place for them to do some fun, interactive learning activities. It's an opportunity for them to work on homework and to have a great deal of fun and some pretty yummy snacks, from what I understand. But I want to thank our community partner, the First Christian Church, because this is a tremendous outreach that has been going on since last year, when our district 2 years ago made the commitment to move to putting in collaboration time on Wednesdays. They stepped forward and said, how can we help support the school? How can we help support the community and our families make this work? So I cannot thank you all enough for providing this quality, safe, learning, fun environment in an after-school format for our children in Mount Noster. I have to tell you, on Wednesdays on bus duty, I look forward to seeing them, and I get to visit with them, and every one of them have smiles on their faces, and our students are so happy to be going to the zone. In fact, they look like they're having so much fun. I want to hustle down after bus duty to see exactly what all they're doing, because I know they're having lots of fun. But again, I just want to thank you so much, and I was wondering if David, you or Matt could share a little bit, and thank you so much.
I'll let Matt share because while they're doing the zone, I'm actually driving a school bus. I have really very little to do with the program. And really it's all Matt's idea. When the school came up with this proposal to go early outs on Wednesdays, he came up with the idea. We talked a lot about it. I remember being in Pennsylvania on vacation on probably a 2-hour conversation about stuff and how this was all going to work. So I'm going to let Matt talk a little bit more about it because it's his baby.
Well, it's just a real big opportunity for us to be able to serve the community, be able to serve some kids that might have a trouble, with getting some parental, some people to watch them after school when they get out of school early on a Wednesday. But it's an opportunity for us to be able to have fun with them and to be able to share our lives with them, for them to be able to share their lives with us, and for us to be able to, to really be able to make some relationships with them and to really kind of encourage them throughout their day. So definitely we enjoy eating some snacks. Andrea Mildren is really in charge of our kitchen. She takes care of all of the snacks and everything that we do for that. So that's just such a huge help. And then Matt Franklin comes and helps me every week. We walk all the kids from the elementary school. We walk them from the middle school down to the Christian church. And no matter what kind of an adventure that is, we definitely have fun with that. So Matt's doing great with that. Kirsten comes over from the high school. She's still a student, obviously, at the high school. She's a senior, but she comes right over from the high school as soon as she's done and starts serving our kids and making sure that everything is taken care of there. Peggy Miller, of course, you all know Peggy Miller, and she's just an amazing help, and she teaches one of the classes, and she makes sure that kids stay in line. And she's kind of our disciplinarian, which is helpful because I'm not so much that person. And definitely, and I'm there to help out too. But we have such a great time with the kids, and we definitely appreciate the school helping us out, getting the things set up, and definitely we're so blessed to be able to serve the kids. So,
How many kids do you have there, Matt?
yeah, so we between 13 and 18, depending on the week, for sure. We fluctuate just a little bit. Absolutely. We take more. So if you hear of any more that need to have this place to be on Wednesday afternoons, we'd love to take them. So, right. And it's at kindergarten through 6th grade. So, absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, great stuff, great stuff. Next item is reports. We will start with superintendent reports.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to provide our monthly financial update, and I'm happy to report that our budget trends remain very healthy for the fiscal year. Year-to-date revenue generated is 76.6% of the anticipated amount. It did help a great deal to receive that unanticipated payment from Impact Aid from 2012, so that's helped us with those numbers as well. And year-to-date expenses realized is at 51% of the budget. So very, very pleased with how we're trending and as we move into 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. So Legislative update. Unfortunately, due to inclement weather, we were snowed out. We tried to go, and they canceled the legislative forum, Stand Up for Education, that was supposed to be held in February. However, they do have an alternate activity, and I do believe anyone who would like to attend, the board, more than welcome to go. I will be going to a legislative advocacy network meeting. It is scheduled for our region for April the 14th. It is in Jefferson City. Just please let me know if you'd like to join me in attending this important advocacy event. If you could let me know by March 13th, that would be great. I will say there are a lot of budget conversations going on in Jeff City right now. I highlighted our board a great deal last month, and it just kind of changes from week to week. You know, the House will come up with a proposal, and then of course the Senate will come back with their version. So it's very important that we continue to contact our state representatives and senators and advocate for full funding of our state educational formula that has not been done for many years. So important that we continue to do that. Also, we do have a regional Region 5 meeting, and it will be held on April the 9th in Holden. If you could just let me know by the 1st of April if you'll be able to attend that. That is a regional training. I do believe they're highlighting safety as one of the topics at that meeting, so some professional development on safety training, as well as probably some legislative updates. But also that's an opportunity that if we have a quorum of our board and superintendent attend, that, you know, we may be eligible for some student scholarships will be put in the drawing. So if you can attend, that would be great. In instructional leadership, I am excited to share the great news regarding student and teacher growth over the past few years that will be highlighted in the nomination for the Outstanding Boards of Education Award in Teaching, Learning, and Assessment packet later this evening. Mr. Fisk will be presenting that to our board, and then towards the end, I'd just like to highlight a few data points, but very exciting data trends there as well. On the facilities update, I do want our Board of Education community to know that we are currently soliciting for bids to repair and upgrade the existing tennis courts. We are investigating all options at this point in time and working through drainage issues as well. And the selected bid will be brought to the Board of Education meeting in April. So just takes time, you know, to advertise and get those proposals in, bid proposals in, but we will come back in April. We know we need to do something soon. And so, you know, I would hope that we could get some things into place where we could start on that in the summer. So been collaborating with Mr. Maple on this, and so we're kind of talked about possible timelines and different options. So but I did want to share that with our board and community, because I know that's been heavy on all our hearts with the safety concerns of the cracks. Community outreach activities. We have some really exciting things coming up. Hope if you've looked on our district website, it's been in the weekly article, should be on Twitter and Facebook, but we are having, and I'm really glad we could do this together, our district and NAT, our Noster Association of Teachers, are teaming together to host the Meet the Board of Education Candidate Forum. It's this coming Tuesday night, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. This forum will be held at 7 p.m. in the Knob Noster Middle School cafeteria, and we hope everyone can attend. Please join NAT and the school district as Board of Education candidates who are on the ballot for the April election. We'll discuss their platforms for the upcoming April election. And they also have 3 global questions that NAT, that I worked with NAT, Captain Dorsey on compiling, and we're looking forward to that event, special event. We also have another community outreach event we're looking forward to. A new tradition we're starting. Our school district will host the first annual Senior Citizens Appreciation Luncheon on March 19th, 2015. at 11 I should say a.m., excuse me, not p.m. I'm not going to be there at p.m., guys, sorry. It's past my bedtime even, okay? 11 a.m. in the Knob Noster Library. Entertainment will be provided by our students, and we will provide an update, just some information where we're at on the Mission 2020 plan. We do have a special event planned. OPA has been so gracious to donate a delicious lunch for this special event, and we are looking forward to it. Please plan to join us. And a special note, we are not defining the age requirements for senior citizen. So we keep that very open. Anyone is welcome to join us at this special event. So are there any questions on my report?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next item will be the MSBA report. That's the video.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's board report for the month of March. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the work groups created under House Bill 1490 that are developing new academic performance standards here in Missouri. Those work groups have been meeting for several months now and are looking at standards for English language arts, mathematics, social studies, and science. Of course, schools throughout the state have already been utilizing the current Missouri learning standards that were previously adopted by the State Board of Education. Members of the work groups were nominated by the governor, lieutenant governor, legislators, and various groups, including MSBA. The members include active classroom teachers, school board members, parents, and others. Columbia School Board member Jan Meese is a member of the English Language Arts Work Group for grades K through 5. And she says meetings have been contentious at times, but her group is making progress.
We think we're a good way into this now. We have determined 5 strands that we want to pursue, and we have broken into groups to try and make that work more efficient with our time. And as we look at rewriting the standards, we are looking at standards from the Common Core, from Massachusetts, from Texas, from our own Missouri GLEs, which were the basis of our Common Core. So we're drawing together as many resources we can and reworking them to the delight of our committee members.
Meese adds she remains optimistic the groups will be able to develop solid and rigorous standards for Missouri students. But she also understands how frustrated educators throughout the state have been with this process.
I think what we need to remember is there has been a lot of work that has been done previous to this by educators in our state to get the good grade level expectations and learning standards that are in place now that we have to be working with until this new set is approved, if it happens. And I think this is going to be very frustrating for our teachers and our districts who are out using the standards now. By law, 2014-15, this is the year they were to be implemented, and they don't know whether to fish or cut bait. You know, now what do I do?
The work groups will present their proposed standards to the State Board of Education by this coming October. If revised standards are adopted, new assessments will have to be developed, and it's estimated that process will take an additional 2 years. Sports concussions among students continue to be a major concern for school districts throughout the state. The Brain Injury Association of Missouri recently held a series of workshops around the state on the issue designed to help school districts return students safely to sports and the classroom. One of the speakers at the events was Dr. Mark Halstead, the director of the Sports Concussion Program at Washington University in St. Louis. He says students recovering from concussions may need to have their classroom workload reduced for a while.
If you do that, and do that intentionally without having these kids even know that they're getting less work, you'll do great with these kids and they'll recover a lot better. The problem is again, these kids don't ask for help. They don't know how to ask for help. They won't ask for help. They don't want to draw the attention in the class. Hey, you know what? I'm having a headache now. I didn't get what you just told me, teacher. They're not going to do those things. Okay, it's very unusual for me to see a kid that actually is willing to do that. When I ask them to do that, they're kind of sitting there, no, I can't do that. No way, no way. And so that's not going to help them. So if the teacher can do that intentionally ahead of time, these kids will do great. Okay.
Halstead adds, schools make learning accommodations for many students already and need to do the same for students with concussions. MSBA Center for Education Safety was one of the partners for the concussion workshops. Because of a winter storm that moved through the state last month, MSBA was forced to cancel its annual legislative forum in Jefferson City. But that makes it even more important that you attend your region's School Board Advocacy Network Day in Jefferson City. Your S-band visit will include a briefing on current legislative issues at MSBA's Member Relations Center, and then you'll have the opportunity to visit your local legislators at the Capitol. The event is free, but we do ask you to register in advance through the MSBA website. Also, be sure to mark your calendar for the MSBA Spring Regional Meeting in your area of the state. Those meetings will be held in April and May this year and will feature a panel of local community leaders discussing collaboration with school leaders on school safety. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
Does anybody have anything MSBA related they'd like to say or bring up? I would just like at this time to put a plug in for the April 9th meeting, kind of some professional development for us. We will get an invite out to elections will have been held by then, so we'll get invites out to those new members at that time too, so if they want to attend. I know last year, Kelly, you came with us in that same window, so we'll put that out. That's really about it. I mean, I don't know who's getting the legislative update emails and stuff from MSBA, but there's definitely a lot going on, not just budget with education in Jeff City. There's also the school transfer programs and stuff like that. So there's a lot to keep your eye on and stay involved with and focused on, and at appropriate times contact your legislators. And that's for the public too. Just kind of keep an eye out there what's going on, and there's a lot of hot button issues. And Normandy's going with Normandy, if some aren't aware, they're getting hit by the unaccredited districts, and they're looking at an influx of about 486 students will be moving their district, and they've come out and said that as a district they can't support more than 500 or they'll be insolvent. So some big issues there for them, and that's of course going to feed over the rest of us in the state, potentially how that plays out. So that is all I got. April 9th, just if anybody didn't catch it, it's at next regional meeting. And with that, the Whiteman report.
Good evening. Colonel Sparks sends his regrets, but we are still working the issue on the practice, doing practices that have been discussed at previous meetings. So we have not forgotten about it, but it is still being worked.
That's it. All right, thank you. Okay, next item, we'll move into new business. First item is, ready? Appointment of new board secretary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Due to the resignation of Ms. Renee Taylor as our Board of Education Secretary, Mr. Fisk and Board of Education, I'd like to make a recommendation that the board take under consideration the appointment of Ms. Katie Huntsman to serve as our official board secretary. Ms. Huntsman has just been a tremendous asset to our district for many years. And I will say personally, in just the last couple months that we've worked together, has just made a big difference in helping us out with our accounts payable and just helping out, greeting people in the office. And she does such a nice job. And I highly recommend Katie for nomination to this position.
So I'll move that we appoint Katie Huntsman as the new board secretary.
All right, motion has been made to appoint Katie Hudson as the board secretary. It has been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Katie.
All right.
Right here, girl.
Get your pencil, take
Right here.
notes.
Yes.
Do you have a sharpened pencil? Do we need to get?
Thank you, Katie.
Uh-oh, welcome.
Very good, Katie.
All right, next item is the approval of the bills. There are two forms, so we will discuss Form A first.
So I'll move that we approve the March 2015 invoices Form A along with the P card receipts as presented.
I'll second. All right, motion's been made to approve the Form A bills and P card. Is there any, and it has been seconded. Motion was made by Matt.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion on Form A
If we may
and the
have a
P
couple of
card?
questions on Form A.
Okay.
I know I didn't have time to get with you all prior to this meeting. I apologize for doing that. One of my questions is on the, I don't know how to pronounce this exactly, Tom Exec or Brink LLC legal
Yeah.
fees.
Yes,
What are those in reference to?
I can't, it is for legal services for our school district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
He,
and the reason I asked that question is because I know we have free legal services through MSBA,
Right.
so
that was for a specialty area.
okay, I understand. And my other question would be the Newton Alliance Summer School. I know that we've been making a monthly payment to Newton Alliance.
Yes, that's our
So
last one.
That's all, okay.
Mhm,
all
Mr.
right.
Birchie, that's our
All right.
last one, and in fact, I think that's for, February and March, correct, Katie, on that?
And I do have one more question. The Warrensburg School District, the Alternative Education, the second semester books, is that for the Gateway program?
Yes, yes,
So,
and it's tuition,
so do we make payments twice a year to Gateway for
Yes.
books?
well, and tuition.
And then there's a tuition payment.
Yes, I mean, I think it's one and the same.
How many
Yeah.
kids do we have in a Gateway program? up in
We
Warrensburg?
have four, we have 4 slots, right?
4 slots.
We have 2 full-time students now. Thank you, Mr. Mack.
So we pay, I mean,
We have to pay for those 4 slots.
Considerable amount of
literally,
money.
Yes. Mhm.
it really is. Okay. How much is that?
And for them to fund, that program, they have to, districts, they assign districts so many seats. County aren't using some of the seats, then other districts will ask to buy that seat. But typically, we've used the 4 slots. Is that correct, Mr.
We've
Maxwell?
used our 4 slots, and at times we've had 6 and 8 students in 4 slots. It's
Do it part-time.
because
Part-time.
part-time because students will have a job, and their job will count as worksite education.
Mhm.
So they go to their job, and that opens up another half-time slot,
I see.
and we're able to put students in there. Currently, we have 2 vacant slots. One student has graduated, another student has withdrawn from Gateway, and we are looking to fill those 2 slots currently.
Do we have to buy the curriculum for the slots or for the students? Because
The curriculum
$14,000 seems like a lot of curriculum.
Yeah.
Sir?
$14,000 seems like a lot of books.
They're
Based on-
also, besides books, they're also buying computer slots.
Okay.
And teachers, that helps
Okay.
pay the
Oh,
teacher
okay.
salary. Yeah, they spread that out across all the districts that's in,
Thank
there.
you.
No, that's a good question.
My question is Bank of New York
Yes.
for 682,000.
Yes, in Matt's update too, that we are paying, I'm very excited after tonight's board meeting, pending board approval, we will pay off our lease purchase bonds from construction bonds from 2000, 2001. So they will be paid off in the entirety there, that one, and we'll only be paying on the most recent one, the 2013 one. So.
And that construction is what, for what?
that was when I was here the first time, Paul, and that Mr. Birchie and they were doing, like, they put the new classrooms on at the high school. I believe there might have been a few things done at our
The AC at the high school.
air conditioning, maybe a few things at the middle school.
There's something in the central office, they've done some work there
Oh,
as
that's
well.
good news.
So
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's,
Good deal.
yes. It's
What
really
year
good
was that
news.
for?
2000, 2001.
Oh, that was your first
Yeah,
one?
that was when that construction happened.
That's great. Time flies.
Those are, we do have quite a few bills, and that is the biggest expenditure this month, but it's exciting we're getting that one
And that's
paid off.
principal and interest that we
Yes.
pay one time every spring, and we pay interest, we make an interest payment in the fall, so.
But we won't have to pay anymore.
Now
On
this
that
one.
2000, 2001 series. Now, on the safe and secure schools, the lease payment that we approved in 2013, then that we will continue to be paying on. But, definitely that we calculated the cost along with the 75-cent levy increase to make sure that that was within the amount of revenue we expected to receive from that 75-cent levy increase. So as not to, burden the district any further. Based upon what the voters, allowed us to do in 2013, thankfully.
Now, will have those payments already started, or they have not started yet?
Yeah, so this is a double payment. Actually, we're paying for both that old series and the new series on this large payment this month. But next year we will have that significantly reduced. We're talking about $400,000 less next year to that old series. That will be, money that we don't have to spend in our budget.
And we only pay that in the spring.
The principal in the spring, which is the
Right.
biggest part of it, but then we pay an interest payment in the fall as well.
Okay.
That really is good news.
Mhm.
Okay, we're done. On election cost funds, what goes in that?
We have to pay the counties to host the election, so that's for printing the ballots and their time. That's spends preparing for that. So anytime we have a contested election, there is a fee of that.
And USA buttons?
That was a payment for the, I believe, the high school. They did an activity. It was.
Oh, okay. All right, that's all I had.
Any other discussion or questions? Motion's been made to approve the Form A bills and the P card. No further discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item is the bills also, the Form B.
I'll move that we approve the March 2015 invoices Form B as presented.
I second it.
All right, motion's been made to approve the Form B bills and has been seconded. Motion by Matt, sorry. And has been seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 6-0 and 1 abstain. And the next item, my screen, sorry, is the guidance program, at-risk program evaluation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the community, welcome. I'm Ray Maxwell from the high school. I'll be tonight's speaker. As you heard earlier, Miss Wesley's out on professional development in sunny Southern California. This is Miss Cassidy Youthley, Miss Jessica Henry, and Miss Heather Wallace. We're here to talk about our annual program review. Instead of boring you with all of the details and the fun sides of pie charts, we went in our annual review this year. We did a tabletop IIR, and what that is an internal audit of the counseling program. We sat down as counselors, looked at our program, and assessed the district. This audit can also be done at the building level, and that's our next goal, is this fall is to come up, is sit down with our principals and do an IIR in each individual building. What we wanted to do this year for the program review was to look at the health of the district program. The internal improvement review goes over an overview of this program, as I mentioned, but it looks at 4 principal areas: guidance curriculum, individual planning, responsive services, and systems of support. Those are the 4 pillars of a comprehensive guidance program set forward by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Missouri School Counselor Association. Guidance curriculum. In the guidance curriculum area, we look at how they reflect state standards. Is there vertical alignment between kindergarten to 12th grade or the K-12 curriculum? We have GLEs, CLEs, just as the regular instructors do throughout the core base of the school. Standards are based on a priority. All students participate in classroom guidance, and effectiveness is evaluated. The one thing we're not going to bore you with is a whole series of pie charts that go from every grade level. Guidance curriculum at the elementary level is one of the largest portions of their duties. As you come to the middle school, it tapers off a little bit, and at the high school, guidance is about 15% of our program. So it goes from being 50% pretty much at the elementary, and by the time you get to the high school, it's at the 15% level. Individual planning looks at career development, personal plans of study, transitions, career and education planning. This now is taking a new direction with 2020 and everything that the government is looking at. And we are looking at taking career planning all the way down into kindergarten. This is something that's been done before. What do you want to be when you want to grow up? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a policeman. Those questions are still asked, but there's a little more focus to it. One of the things that we're working on here in the future is a tour of wheels, correct? Or did I get Careers on Wheels, not Tours of Wheels. Careers on Wheels. So for the younger kids, Careers on Wheels, just to open it up. It's cooperation with the base and the community. We're going to have that program out, and they get to see what careers are available on wheels. So, you know, there's more than one thing to be. Okay. Responsive services, individual counseling, group counseling, consultation, referrals, and incident plans. These are some of the things that we are actively involved with in the school district. Individual counseling is sitting in as a student. They may have come in and got a joy to share, like our young lady, I won. Or they may come in and have a hard day in the morning. And of course, at the middle school, they hear this much more than I do at the high school. My cat or my dog or my gerbil died. And we talk about that and we address those issues because those are the important issues. And we do grief counseling for animals as well as we do grief counseling for family members. Group counseling, we have large group counseling. Sometimes it's a classroom when we go in and talk about stuff in a group counseling and it's a repeated subject, or we can get into small group counseling as deployment counseling. We have our elementary school counselors do that quite a bit, and we have small groups for deployments. We hold small group counseling at the high school for study skills, how to help kids in a specific subject area to master it and study for it. As you go further, it gets a little harder. We work and consult. We worked actively with the base. Today we were working, you know, I personally was working with community agencies trying to find help for some of our students and for the needs that they have. And we have to go out into the community. And we also consult with other school districts. We often work with referrals. We have MFLAC that we use for our base personnel or their children. And then we also work with Pathways, Johnson County Juvenile. We also work with Job Corps and various other things, trying to find the right placements, the right activities for our students. We are often involved with critical incident plans, and these are the areas that we look at. Next slide. Systems of support. This is the one pillar that gets a little fuzzy for counselors because it's as we move away from our counseling program, there are many things that we do here. However, we do support collaborative relationships with our community and teachers and, pardon me, administrators. We advocate for our counseling program. We have professional development, as Ms. Wesley is off doing currently. Serve on various committees, have our fair share responsibilities in the district that are off, counselor duties. We run an evaluation program, and we have a time task analysis program that helps us look. The one thing I guess I've neglected to talk about as we pace through these, the dark shadow is how much we're implemented. I apologize for that. I forgot to say that. So let's back up a few slides. As you can see, our curriculum guidance is about 74% implemented. Our program overview, I can go back another slide, is that 81% is the health of our program. Curriculum guidance is at 75%. Individual planning is at 69%. Responsive services is at 82%. System support is at 68%. And this kind of gives you a bar chart as to where we're headed across. If we look at the total health of our program across the district, we are about 81% integrated. So we have room for growth. We have desired room for growth. We've created an action plan to address those areas. The strengths, the overall program is implemented in. Students are experiencing issues. Responsive services are available and they are being addressed. We aren't losing students between the cracks. We do a lot of individual counseling, small groups especially, or predominantly at the elementary schools and the middle school. The high schools, we do them on selective need basis. We do consult and collaborate regularly. The counselors within the district work together. Pardon me. We do work throughout the state. Ms. Wallace and myself are past presidents for the Central Missouri Counselors Association. We've served with the Missouri School Counselors Association as regional president, and we're both active in that area. And our other counselors are real active in the community and in the Central Missouri Counselors Association. Thank you, ma'am. Areas for growth. As you saw, our individual planning, we talked about the strengths, but here's where we need students and parents to receive the appropriate information on individual planning information. Programs of study. We just did one 2 weeks ago with the 8th graders. We had a very full cafeteria over there where we explained the program of study and their 4- and 6-year plan. So what they're going to do and how that looks and how it goes forward. We had a very full house, lots of questions, but we need to improve on that. The state's objective is to start pushing those programs of studies and concepts lower and lower and lower. They're looking at 7th grade. And as we were talking as counselors today, we see that headed to 5th grade. So they're going to start programming what they're going to do in middle school before they get to high school. And then we're going to be addressing, 6-year plans at the high school. What's the next 2 years after high school look like for you? And then I imagine MSCA hasn't came out with it yet, pardon me, but I see 8-year plans. What are your 4 years here? What are you going to go do in college? If you're doing a 2-year technical school, you can go on. Individual planning activizes and utilizes career paths and clusters. One of the things that we've got up on the website now, we just got it uploaded last weekend with a lot of effort. There are 16 career clusters under Missouri Connections, and all 16 of those clusters are now uploaded to the district website for the high school. And a student can go in there, and like our young lady that was here earlier wants to be in the helping career field. There's a tab that says helping careers. You click on it. It lists all of the classes that are initially required at Non-Nuster High School. And then as she rolls over to a second page, it talks about different careers and where to go to school and what it looks like, whether there's a 2-year program, on-the-job training, technical schools, 4 years, masters and doctorates that support different types of helping programs, even for engineering and architecture. Yes.
Elementary is going to help with this as well, because we are going to, our Careers on Wheels, we're going to have vehicles from each, there's 6 career paths, and we're going to try to get vehicles from each career path to come. So that was our.
If I can add, we've been collaborating with Dr. Brad Stanley through DESI and through Pathways to Prosperity, and he's given us lots of great ideas. So a lot of these things have come from our conversations with him. And working with him.
Areas for growth, thank you, that's right. District counseling goal, the Knob Noster counseling team look to increase this as a district level, to review the individual planning implementation and move, especially under individual planning from 69 to 80%. So we're really going to concentrate on moving that, and that's a significant growth. And our goal is to do that in 1 year, and we believe that is possible.
How?
Ma'am?
Wow, we've already started.
Well, one of the things is we just did this with implementing at the 8th grade level, talking to the 8th grade parents that are coming to the high school. So we did a program of study, explained them what that was with them and what their student schedules meant to them. We hold, currently we do many junior and senior meetings. We're going to be probably before the end of the year, have a sophomore and freshman meeting that comes out that explains that to parents and that. And so what we want to be able to do is over the coming years is get parents involved in that process. They're involved in schedules as at the high schools, the students create a schedule, go home and explain it to their parents, get mom's or dad's signature on it, and it comes back and we start working on the master schedule. But we're also going to integrate that scheduling with a program of study so the students and the parents see the end goal. Is it something that's cast in concrete? No. If I take all my interest inventories, I should still be an aircraft mechanic. And that's what I was. But, our interests change through time, and sometimes life happens and students change. Their goal changes. A perfect example of that is a gentleman that wanted to be an engineer. His dad had a heart attack. You may have seen the commercial. He became a biomechanical engineer, and he created mechanical heart valve. All he wanted to do was be an engineer until his dad had a heart attack, and then his career shifted. So we do many things to expose that. And so the program of study is an initial goal, gives them initial target, and then, but we want to get, part of our review is to get the parents involved. And we want to do that. We want to make sure that that's the weak area we have, and we want to pull the parents and the community into that. We kind of discussed it, provide personal plan informational for parents. And right now we're looking at 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Seniors are out the door. Every parent, 8 through 11, will have the opportunity to look and revise this with their students. And then create a vertical college and career readiness curriculum for all grades. And that's one of our targeted goals. That's one of the things in the IIR that says, do you have a vertical college career curriculum? That's where we go with our Careers on Wheels. We did a most presentation for scholarships the other night, and we're doing a lot of little things. So, but these are the areas we need to improve in across the board.
FAFSA, sorry, the frenzy that we did for
Yeah.
FAFSA, that was really for seniors.
Yeah, that was for seniors. We had FAFSA Frenzy. We sat there, and Ms. Leslie and myself assisted what little there was assisting that the parents needed. But we offered a whole room, 20 computers, and we helped parents as requested to upload their FAFSA for their son or daughter.
What was the turnout for that?
The turnout for that? 3 families.
I've done them. You need help.
Yeah, but the thing of it is there are many families that have done the routine before, so they don't come. The families that we had that were there, this was the first child moving in that, and they've never done a FAFSA before, so that really helped.
Now,
But
do we
the
have a-
Federal loans, federal student loans.
So federal
Just so-
aid,
so they know
federal
what
aid.
The FAFSA was.
the free student loans.
And every A-plus student who wants to use their scholarship and attains that status must fill out the
A FAFSA, or they don't,
requirement.
they won't get their A+ if they don't fill out a FAFSA. And if parents need that, I've been doing it for 10 years, and on the side, not at a FAFSA frenzy. My senior nights that I held in January, I'd say, if you need help with your FAFSA, please come see me. I've got short-term memory when it comes to your money.
Before you move on, Mr. Mack, and all the time, I have a quick question for you. Look at this. You talked about these new action steps, increasing this. So, do you think by doing this new plan of study for starting as early as 8th, 7th, and even down to the 5th grade at one point in time, do you see an increase in our kids looking at some more career and technical educational programs, expanding our enrollment in the vocational studies, or bringing some of that stuff, are definitely in our technology areas, business, all that stuff?
I think right now we're doing Project Lead the Way at the high school. We're looking at, Mr. Avery does some Project Lead the Way stuff at the middle, doing the Gateway program at the middle school, I believe. And there is another program that even goes lower than that, even lower than middle school. I don't think we've integrated that one into the district yet. As our students start seeing those Project Lead the Way programs, after the follow-ons are biomedical. It's not just engineering and not just construction or laser technology. There's many of that. As we see more and more of that, and we're getting the word out, more and more girls are being introduced to that. Probably out of the last 6 or 7 young ladies that have came to our school district, 3 of them are interested in engineering, and we're already talking to them about summer programs at Missouri S&T. So Missouri S&T is the big hammer in Project Lead the Way right now in the state of Missouri. But they have a wonderful summer school program especially for women. And that. So as we get that program and we get the people start chasing that, and the word gets around how it is, I think it'll grow significantly. The second year program has an outstanding Principles of Engineering is a follow-on program at the high school. It has a significant enrollment in it from our first year program. So, and it looks like we're getting a lot of interest in our Introduction to Engineering and Design. I see numbers. I don't see gender right now. So I don't know what the gender breakup is of that. But the more the young ladies hear about it, the more that they find out that this isn't dirty shop, to use slang term, they'll become engaged.
And at the elementary level, we focus on pathways to prosperity. And that's when Jessica, she had mentioned, we focus more on not just the fireman or the policeman or the doctor. We're getting more into those specific career paths, like the helping field. So when we have our careers and wheels, we are going to focus on all of those career paths and see, because we don't always want to focus on those high level careers, because that may not be achievable for that student. So we want them to help them focus on the other careers and help get them aware of the plumber or the electrician, or just those offside jobs that could help them be successful later in life. So we want them to be successful.
We did have a field trip about 2 weeks ago, I guess. We took the 8th graders to one for Career Center to actually see those programs. And then we went to the campus at State Fair, and they got to really see some of those. They were fascinated with some of the programs that we saw there. I think the Dahl Museum really fascinated a lot of them. So they got to experience some of those things. And that helped them with the 4-year plan then. We would go and talk about that and some of their hopes for the future.
Ms. Wallace, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to interject. We always receive emails from where we visit from individuals saying how well behaved and how interested and our kids are, and they really enjoy having them. So it's always nice to get those emails, and we both receive them.
They had great meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the things that happened for career exploration in college is that in the fall we have a college program where juniors and seniors go to State Fair, whether they're registering or not, and because they have a huge career fair there that goes on, and then they also get to explore. Yeah, I want to go into education. They can go into see what a 2-year prep program for education is, I want to be a radiologist. They get to go to the radiology program that they have at State Fair, and they get to see that. And the other thing that we have is we just did this in February to help our students is as part of the A+ program, we do a job shadow program where students get to go out to the careers. And this year we had one that has done veterinary service. We've had some do digital media at the university and actually work with KMOS. And then right now we're working with Western Missouri Medical Center for one of our seniors to go spend a whole day with the speech path department there. And they're trying to coordinate all of that before she graduates and to get in there. But right now they're having some date issues. So, but you know, those are some of the opportunities that we set up for kids to explore on their own. And what we've done this year is we've opened, depending on what, like you have to be a junior or senior for Western Medical, but we opened it up to 9th grade. Not the people that came in and took advantage of it were junior and seniors and one sophomore. But we opened it up to the whole high school. But you know, those were the ones that took advantage of it. I coordinate where they go, but they have to get there on their own. But it's a job exploration. The benefit of that is saying, I don't want this job. So they find out now when it was free versus a couple years of college. Next thing we'd like to talk about, Dr. Lorenz, excuse me, Ms. Dr.
Okay.
has brought back our mentor program this year, and a partnership with the community and the base, and worked with Diane Munley out at the base at MFLAC. We did some recruitment through the fall and training throughout the fall. Had 3 different training sessions. The base supported background checks for all of their individuals and paperwork processed through Ms. Munley. Information delivered to building counselors. We had they filled out their where they would like to worksheet. The counselors got them, and we started looking for students, and we started marrying them up with students throughout the district. The predominant user of the program is at the elementary schools. The middle school has mentors in it, and then we have a handful of mentors that come to the high school. It doesn't look like the elementary school where they have more of them, but we do have mentors coming into the high school on a regular basis. Student parent permissions were signed, the mentoring began, and we've had a quick evaluation here in the January-February timeframe. Our mid-year review, mentors, are you satisfied with your mentoring experiments? 27 said yes, 1 said no. Suggested improvements, as you can see there, is the opportunity to meet more often, and then add some physical activities. If you've seen the Facebook page that we have for the district in the elementary schools, and just predominantly the elementary school, you see them all engaged out on the court and stuff like that, or doing some physical activity with their protege. Those were some of the things, and those are some of the things that we're looking at to see how we can integrate that and get that at all levels. Student feedback is, how do you feel about your mentor? Did it help you? 4 out of 5 felt they did. 5 out of 5.
This is actually a Likert scale.
Yeah.
4 is, agree, and 5 strongly.
Agreed. Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
In that. So do you think the program is good? And they all said yes. So no, our children miss their mentors when work gets in the way. And conversely, when the mentor shows up and the little guy's not there, you can see a little bit of rejection on their face too, or disappointment, not rejection. Bad choice of words. A little disappointment that they didn't get to meet with their student this week. Parents, the feedback on a Likert scale, thank you. 1 out of 5 is at the low end, 12%. 2s, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5 is presented. Overall effectiveness of our program, we had 50% of our population thought it was very effective.
This was also given about a month after the program started, so, I mean.
Yeah, it started in, with a full momentum. Teachers and counselors found they were satisfied with the quality of mentors that were provided and that have taken their time from the base and came out to support us and believe that the mentors are having an impact on our students. You know, you can see that relationship building, the enthusiasm building, and it's reflecting back in their academics.
And I have something to say. One of our fourth grade students at our school, he just for some reason never came to school on Mondays. And we didn't know why until his mentor started saying to him, I will come eat with you for lunch if you come to school on Mondays. And there's been some times when his mentor will come, he won't be here, but we've kind of tracked his attendance, and his attendance has risen on Mondays because he loves his mentor so much and respects his mentor. He wanted to make sure he was there for that lunch. So just a little positive little story there.
And I think there's, there's more there. Oh. What happened? It clicked some slides off.
Okay.
Our at-risk program. Currently, our at-risk program is moving right along at the districts. Annually, we review our at-risk sheets. We have a protocol at each grade level for high school, middle school, elementary school. We have protocols that are used to assess where we are with our students. And so what students qualify as at risk. So every year that protocol is reviewed, and every year throughout the year, we reassess that. When new students arrive at the school, we wait for a period of time to see how they settle into the school, work with the teachers. Now, the teachers that work, the protocol is done with the teachers provide us feedback, the principal, the vice principal, the counselors, and then we have an advisory team that all gets together and scores a student to determine whether they are or are not at risk using that protocol. Not every student is automatically at risk. So we look at critical factors that are going into that student's life, and then we make an assessment there. Once they become, we see that they're at risk, we determine the level of monitoring that they need. Some only need monitoring once a month, the others need regular monitoring. So we do that, and then inside each building is a monitor team that looks at their at-risk program along with their RTI program. Current approximate numbers throughout the district is 38 kids at Namnoster Elementary. At Whiteman Elementary, approximately the numbers that I have are 25. At Namnoster Middle School, the numbers that I have are 50 kids, and at Namnoster High School, we are looking at 45 kids that we've identified as at risk. Does that mean that there are kids that we're not regularly monitoring, and do we take that as gospel? No. As behaviors change and things are noticed, those protocols are pulled out. They're reviewed by teachers, counselors, and staff to determine where we are going on, and if they deem them to be at risk, we identify them as that, and then they become either a regular conversation in our meetings, our weekly meetings at the school, or we figure out how often we need to address and work with that student.
Do you have social workers that take care of the, like if a kid comes to you and says, our family doesn't have food, or you notice that a child's not on their medication and you've sent numerous notes home and nobody's responding. Do you have, is it your job? Do you guys call and say?
We call, we work with the nurse, and at our building, we work with Ms. Norcross, Ms. Wesley, and I do for medication issues or things when students come and tell us that. First thing we do is work with the nurse. We do many outreach programs and that. If it requires a home visit, One of the counselors and an administrator will go to the home and do a personal home visit. At the high school, we do. If your student breaks their glasses and they have problems, we work with the Lions Club. There's many support, and then there's many resources in Johnson County that all the counselors have access to, and that we used to go forward with.
We are privileged to have a VaxNet program also, KME, and also at the middle school this year. And we're actually awarded 10 more, correct?
10 more in each building, yes.
So that those numbers will increase.
Now, how much percentage of your time do you think you spend on doing those things?
It's hard to say. We do a time task analysis randomly in the district. We don't time task analysis every day. So if it's on the day that we're catching those things, I would say it's less than 10%. And that's me at the high school. I can't speak for everybody. I do time task analysis probably every third week, and if that's not in there, it doesn't break down into the analysis, but it's probably less than 10% of my time. Now, there are times that I work with families that, when I do call home and say, so-and-so doesn't have any more meds, and they talk about where they are financially, and we talk about different outreach programs and resources that are in the community to help them in that area. We provide information on that resource.
Not counting full moon and major snowstorm issues. Okay.
Are we counting the mentoring kids as part of the at-risk?
I know for me, I have some kids who, my kids are the at-risk kids. Like that's how I determined who needed the mentoring. I looked at their at-risk, like they're struggling socially, they're struggling behaviorally, and I paired them up. I sent permission forms to them first. So I know my kids are the at-risk kids.
And also, teachers have a lot of say in it as well. If they feel like that student maybe struggles socially with problem solving, with friendships, it's also good to place that student with the mentor. And also, if they need help with their homework or, it depends on each student.
So then we'll see an increase in these numbers then.
We could.
Well, I mean, if that's what you're using the mentors for.
Yeah.
I presume that the program behind the reason behind mentoring was to help kids that needed help in school.
That's one of the factors, most certainly academically, but also social and emotional as well. A lot of our kids are often in transition quite a bit. So, just moving into a new community and new school. So sometimes it's just finding, another positive adult role model to connect with.
Right, but that places a whole different criteria
Absolutely.
on the mentor.
Right.
Because then what qualifications does somebody have to communicate with a child?
So, Ms. Matthews, some of that comes from Dr. Lorenz gave a perfect idea. We have a lot of single parents that transition into our community, and they come to the school. Their child, just because they are a child of a single parent, doesn't not necessarily mean they're at risk. Okay. We run our protocols. We look at things, and sometimes mom or dad or the parent or the guardian will say, and sometimes you have brothers and sisters living with brothers and sisters. Will call and say, I'd like to get some extra help for this. And he says, I think I got just the person for you. And we pair him up with a mentor. And sometimes that's it. Sometimes they want somebody outside the system, outside of the school district. They're not at risk, but they're truly not at risk. They're having a hiccup. I'm sure if we sat down with a protocol, you could say at one point in time or another, yes, I meet this, I meet this. Yes, I meet this. Oh, I'm at risk. There are many things on there at one time or another we could qualify a student as at risk, but they're not always at risk. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we have a standard protocol to make sound judgments on.
Our mentors, after every meeting, they also fill out a form. If the student brought up something that they, I mean, obviously they're not change maybe in all situations, they write it down and they put a note that, you know, we need to meet with them as soon as we can. So they have we're always getting, every day they have to give us a note of what they did, what was discussed, and if it was pertinent that we need to address immediately.
And all that's covered in the training that you all did.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. The
Help
training
us out
takes
in
about
that
2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and, you know, it's pretty comprehensive. Does it cover everything? No, but, you know, we always advise our mentors that to default to the counselor in the building. And the counselors are always there in the building when any mentors are there. And we are always present in the room, in the area. There's always an adult there.
And when do we utilize this time?
Ours is after school twice a week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's an after school from 3:15 to 4:15. And I'm very fortunate, I have a couple of teachers who help me with it. If I can't be there, they're there. We always have one of our teachers are there, or myself.
The KNU after school Mondays and Thursdays, and also the option if they want to come eat lunch with their students or go out to recess with them.
And they're all natural. I mean, I'm amazed at watching the relationships that are growing. Stop by any Monday at the middle school, the library's full of mentors and students, and they are so engaged with each other. It's wonderful to watch.
And at the high school, we usually do them during lunch or academy.
What
Because
time is that?
some of our kids that have mentors are athletes. So they need to be part of their athletic program. And it's influencing them and helping them step up.
And what time is yours?
During lunch or during the academy period, where it's depending on first lunch shift on, I can't remember what day we have. I think it's a Monday, so that would be 11:30 to 12:50 or to 11:50. We have a young man that visits, and then we have Friday's Academy, which is 12:50 to 1:20. We have a student working with a mentor in the library. Both of them on Mondays they eat together. The visitors and the mentor and the student eat together up in the library, and then on Fridays the mentor and the student meet during academy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As you'll notice in the packet that we gave, there's a summary, the recommended changes that we were looking for. We talked about our counseling program was to move from 69 to 80% and under the individual implementation. At risk, we want to implement a frequent evaluation, a standard evaluation program throughout the year, and standardize it and make it more frequent. So we know we are not missing any students. And then in our mentoring program, one of our goals and action plan statements is to work for additional times for our mentors and students to get together and integrate activities for more physical activity where possible. Thank you for your.
Well, I just wanted, before I let you off the stage, thank you very much. I mean, this is the most rigorous program evaluation I think we get every year. You guys put together, and so it's data driven, and it's not easy, I think, for us to say where we're weak in areas, but it's so important for us to identify those areas so that we can improve. And I know, we looked at those pie charts. I know they're not all 100%, and that's not that's where you'd like to be. But I know that we can trust you guys to push that. And an honest evaluation of where you're at is the best way to do that. So we really do appreciate all the time and effort you put in.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank the board for all of the support that they give us in professional development and working with us as we do many things. And I'd like to thank the community for all of the support that they give us and our faculty and staff also. Without that, without the team concept, our students aren't going to succeed very well, and we appreciate all that.
I'd like to also thank Terry Combs. Mrs. Combs is in the back, but she's been working very closely with our counseling team this year. So I want to thank her as well for her leadership, and also want to again thank the board. We additional counseling position will be added at the middle school. We're very excited about that. We think that Heather Wallace is ready to jump up and down right now. It's okay if you want to, but that will really help us on those,
raise those numbers for implementation too. And, but we have a quality counseling team, and I can't thank you enough for all you do for our kids and staff.
It was there earlier. I don't know what happened to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move that we approve the guidance program and at-risk program evaluation as presented.
I'll second it.
A motion been made by Matt to approve the guidance program and at-risk program evaluation as it was presented. It has been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. The next item is the school calendar for next year, 2015-2016.
Yes, Mr. President. I would like to invite Mrs. Laura Hunter to come up. She is one of our teacher representatives on the committee representing Knob Noster Elementary School. And I'm going to let Laura highlight some things, but I just want to personally thank our calendar committee. I want you to know we were made up of 5 teachers throughout the district. We had 3 classified team members, 2 administrators that included myself, and Mrs. Mackey was on the committee to help us out with scheduling some of our required, professional development times and making sure we had a good purposeful plan for PD for next year as well. So I want to thank everyone, and Ms. Hunter.
That's what I was going to say too. We were well represented now. That's fine by all the buildings and classified staff. I think we met 3
times.
And we surveyed our buildings and took that information and brought it back to the committee. And we had really good discussions about what the calendar should look like. And I think we came up with a pretty good plan. I don't have it in front of me, you all do. But if you have any questions, please ask.
I guess one of the big questions I have, and I don't know if you can answer this, but isn't this part of the bargaining?
No, it is not. The calendar is set each year for the board for all employees, certified and classified team members. So it serves all our employees.
But the majority of the district, the employees in the district are the teaching staff. Okay, so how come we don't do the calendar in March after collective bargaining is done? Because if they were during collective bargaining, if they ask for something that's calendar related, how do you overcome that, knowing that they possibly ask for something like that?
Well, we've worked really hard. We had lots of conversations. We met 3 times. We met in November, January, and February. We were in constant communication with our teachers in our buildings, with our classified team members. We did survey. And so we compiled all of this and tried to come up with some consensus on some points here. And we did come up with these, Laura. I did bring them, from our notes. This may help you a little bit. Let me find
The collective bargaining contract will not be, we can negotiate all the way to May 1 per our district policy. And for our stakeholders, parents and students, getting a calendar out in May probably isn't in the best interest of all of our stakeholders. So I think that's something else that the board needs to consider, that if we put our calendar through negotiations, that means we're not getting out to all of our stakeholders that information until after the May. It would be after the May board meeting, and a lot of our families plan.
So I guess what you're telling me is the calendar is not part of the collective bargaining.
No, but I would share with you this, Paul, and I take that, Mr. Birchie, and I take this very seriously. I want you to know that we had 5 teachers who are a part of that collective bargaining, NAT, MSTA, they were represented. In fact, they were the majority on the committee. So our building reps on the committee who were members of the collective bargaining unit took back information. They shared our notes. We shared our notes from the meetings. We gathered input and surveys. We did have to build consensus. There were some buildings that really liked some of the ideas and proposals more than others,
But as a committee, we did develop some consensus, and I think Ms. Hunter wants to speak to some of those.
We did talk about, to start with, we talked about building two years for calendar, and we decided that was too much. We just focused on one. So that was one thing that we did. We just worked on the 2015-16 calendar. We would start school on a Thursday. That was a lot of discussion. Should we start on a Monday, at the very beginning of the year? But through surveys and talking to teachers, most everyone liked those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to get our rooms ready, to prepare for the year. And so we like that Thursday start. Plus it's just a little, 2 days, and then the kids go home. Everybody takes a little breather and starts again on Monday. We talked about our PD days. We were happy with those. And the PD committee will discuss the parts of PD, but we did bring up that we wanted it to be more building led, and we discussed that within our calendar, but we did also talk about that is a PD issue, so that needs to be brought up within the PD committee. We talked about keeping our Wednesday. We did talk about other alternatives to that, but at this moment, we thought we would go at least one more year with the Wednesday early outs and discuss it and see how it goes, if we continue, if it's still working, or if we need to add more time to that for our professional development at the time. That was one of the discussions. Maybe it wasn't enough time. A lot of the teachers felt that we just got started on something and then we'd have to stop and start again. So that was in discussion, and that's something, again, PD committee will discuss and bring up or talk about. The long breaks at Christmas and Thanksgiving, we thought that was good, especially with the military. It gives everybody a good long break to get away and to travel if need be.
Except that you're adding on another day at the end of that, which makes it really long.
I know, yes.
With how the calendar falls.
Yeah, it is.
But I know, but in the past, the PD has been done on a separate day. Other than the day after, we're already having. And some of these kids are ready to get back to school. Some of the parents are ready for the kids to get back to school. Why can't we make that PD day a different day?
Well,
I have it right here.
I should have brought mine.
Yeah, Miss Mackey, because she's our
This year,
PD.
I'm sorry to interject, but this
No, go
year,
ahead. No, come on up.
Come right on up.
this year we did try, well, actually in the last 2 years, we have tried a couple different ways to do PD. One, we tried a work day before Christmas break, to try to get grade cards and things done instead of tacking it on the end, like you noted. Teachers were not very favorable of that. They are fried the day before, and kids too. So we tried that a couple years ago. And then this year we also tried something where we had that Monday before the Thanksgiving break, and we did a PD then where the families had the full week off, but the teachers did not. My reflection, as well as talking with a lot of the teachers in the PDLT, that's not the best time to do professional development, is because you're asking teachers to retain that information a full week before they're even back in their classroom. So it's, we tried to do some good things that day, but then when teachers are on their way out the door and onto the road, and then they're setting that aside before they get back. So professional development is best and more job embedded when it's more closely attached to the actual act of teaching instead of separated out, is what we have found.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying the length of Christmas break.
Oh, yeah.
And then you tack on a PD day on top of that. It's 15 days that the kids are home.
And it's hard too, because sometimes depending on where the holiday falls.
The last 2 years it falls on.
I will say, Ms. Matthews, too, if our data, and we'll have to see at the end of the year, but if our attendance data improves like it did last year due to this new framework of the calendar, how we have it set, it's very similar. The one we're proposing is very similar. We did make some changes based on survey data and consensus. We're hoping that ADA still stays up very high. And, kids have to be at school to learn. That's important. And we also, that ties into our funding, formula. So it's very important.
And the other question I have about the calendar is, personally, I'd like to trade President's Day for Veterans Day. I mean, Veterans Day is a federal holiday. And we have other federal holidays off on the calendar. Matter of fact, I think we have all the federal holidays off on the calendar except for Veterans Day. We have a community of vets. Why don't we have Veterans Day off?
Well, I will say that is a very important holiday, and I want you to know we started a new tradition this year where we had a district-wide breakfast. We've had breakfast in some of the buildings, but we did breakfast in every school building in the district. That's something we want to continue on Veterans Day, as well as special celebration days. The way the calendar falls, we're already off that extended time, and Thanksgiving happens to be the same month. And I guess the other thing too is when we're counting up our days for first semester and second semester, first semester is always a couple days shorter anyway, and that's one of our issues. We just have to start school even earlier, which I mean is an option, but those are some considerations. We do not get Columbus Day off. Yeah, but that is a good point.
I have some real heartburn with that. I think we should have Veterans Day off. I appreciate the breakfast, but
right,
you know, we're not sending the right message. I mean, I don't
understand that.
Well, back to my question, you know, without knowing that much about collective bargaining, my question was strictly, why do we do the calendar now as opposed to waiting till we're done with the bargaining?
Paul, we were very proactive. I met with Captain Dorsey, our president of NAT, before negotiations began, and explained the time frame. I also visited with Mrs. Allen, who serves as the spokesperson, you know, for our teacher, MSTA, you know, and explained that. This is not something we have tried to rush. We have had 3 meetings. We've had lots of surveys, lots of conversations, and I can't even count the number of online discussions we had, you know, emails back and forth of ideas and suggestions. So I have to tell you, I'm very pleased with the committee's work. I mean, it's not been something that, you know, I said, oh, let's do this. I mean, it was a team effort, and I think we gave it our best.
Yeah, I think we worked really hard.
Shot at trying to really, and we did respond to a lot of our teacher requests on the calendar and did make those changes.
So I guess my other question is, when is the calendar actually, is it set in stone tonight or?
Yes, you all would approve it. And really, Mr. Birchie, we've had so many people call already wanting the calendar, wanting the plan. So it's really, some school districts do theirs in January and February. But our board, you know, we set our board calendar, and I believe it's in August or July. We approved that for the year, tentative calendar for what we're going to talk about at board meetings. And the board had selected March, and we specifically said we would talk about it in open session, and that, you know, my charge was, as superintendent, was to have the committee have ongoing conversations and you know, try to gather as much feedback as I could. And I would like to reiterate, we did have 5 teacher representatives, who are all members of MSTA, and that was the majority of the committee.
I just don't think it's gonna impact anything the collective bargaining. They're gonna have the contracted days that they're gonna get. I think the calendar is set, and I think the teachers are, when they're involved in it, then they should be, as long as they're involved in it and they understand it, then it shouldn't be a big issue of anything. So I mean, I don't think it's anything that's
and I was
a showstopper for anything.
Was very transparent about what DESE expects too. I mean, our first meeting, we talked about that, and I printed off from DESE, and we highlighted and talked about what DESE expects us to do, what our options were. So we covered all that, you know, going forward. This is very important because it's tied to our accreditation, our funding, everything. I mean, we have to put this in our core data. Katie's learning all about that. She's been helping us with some of that. And so, thank you. Ms. Hunter, thank you. I appreciate you coming tonight to present. So.
approve the school calendar as presented tonight.
Motion's been made by Randy to approve the school calendar as presented for 2015-2016. Has been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0. The next item is the technology update, evaluation of high school laptop program.
Mr. Davis and Mr. Sellers.
Thank you. Huh? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a brief update on where we stand with technology in the district, and then we're going to go through a little presentation, a very short one, on the replenishment project for the high school one-to-one program. This was one of the new projectors that you guys agreed to the last board meeting, I do believe. So we've started installing these already. The teachers love them. The kids are like amazed by them. We're putting our third one up tomorrow. This room gets used a lot by the elementary students. Mrs. Hughes has already become fairly proficient with the new board. It's nice. It's pretty magical. So the kids get amazed by it. The teacher laptops, the teacher technology that you approved for the laptops, that's due in this week. There's 140 of those due in, so we'll distribute those probably next week. And that's if they come in this week. So there's a caveat on that. But last I heard, they're supposed to be in this week. Testing is coming up, so bandwidth is always an issue at testing time. I just want to make sure that and let you guys know that we are fine with bandwidth. We've run all year at about the 35 to 40% usage, and we've peaked. The highest we've peaked was at about 1.5 to 1.10, and that was for a very short period of time, like a couple minutes. But so we're running at 150 right now with the capability of a phone call of turning up to 250. So we've got plenty of space in here. We've installed all the software on the computers that are going to be used for testing. We've run the stress test that Desi recommended that we run. We passed with flying colors, as I expected it would do anyway. So we should be set to go for testing. We've got the E-rate. We're filing our E-rate paperwork for our refunds and things like that on some of the technology that we're doing. We qualify this year for Category 2, which the FCC has ruled that you can use for procuring things that you couldn't procure before. And that would be things like wireless access points and things like that. I've put in to procure 60 upgraded wireless access points to move us to a higher speed level on the wireless, and they'll be interspersed throughout the district in high density areas where we need those. And at that rate, we wind up getting a 75% discount on that purchase. So money-wise, that's great money spent in order to upgrade. So that's basically where we are technology-wise throughout the district. And now we're going to move on. I'll move the magic pen back here again, and if I could get it back here. Go back. I'm going to put it back to the computer.
I want to thank you, Jeff, too. We in the past, and actually just finishing up this year, Jeff is applying for the E-rate for our district for next school year. But typically we had an outside company doing that, and Jeff and I sat down and visited, and he said, you know, I can do that for the district. So that is going to save us thousands of dollars.
Quite a bit of money.
So thank you, Mr. Davis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now we're on to the part where I'm back to the board again for more spending. Okay, the one-to-one program at the high school. We have gotten to the point at the high school, and Mr. Sellers can attest to this, that we have nothing left that is under warranty whatsoever. This is our last year with 225 Acer laptops that is under warranty. The Vostro laptops are already out of warranty. There's 170 of those, of which I'll go over those here in a minute. Those have been out of warranty for a year already. We've been repairing those with parts and pieces from the 200 that we purchased. So, and Randy's been using the screwdrivers on those for the last year. So what we're looking to do is to procure 200 new laptops for the high school that would be issued to the junior and senior classes, the upcoming junior and senior classes. What that allows is to free up some technology that is still good technology that can move down to the middle school and the elementary schools to replace some really, really, really old technology that is on carts and setting in labs. Part of that is the ACERs would move down to the freshman sophomore class. We're going to procure parts in advance to keep those laptops running. So they won't be under warranty, but we have access to procure parts, which Randy's already worked up. The Dell Vostros, we're going to take 108 of those, and those are i5 laptops, so they're decent laptops, current generation laptops. And we're going to move those down to the elementary schools, where we're going to put 3 of those in each classroom, K through 4, okay, and replace the old desktop computers that are sitting in those classrooms, of which some are 12 years old or older. And some of them are leftovers that the Air Force got rid of many, many years ago that we've placed in classrooms. But we've made them work and kept them going, but it's time that we've replaced them so that we can move forward in the district. 48 of the Vostros will be used to replace the HP little mini silver laptops that we have that the batteries fall out of and everything else, because they're just totally busted and need to be replaced. And then what we're going to do is the teachers get their new laptops. They're going to turn in their Dell D830 laptops. And what we would like to do with those is to start the one-to-one program at the 8th grade level at the middle school, so that every student in the 8th grade now will be able to carry around a laptop, learn how to take care of it before they get to high school, and maybe we can eliminate some of the dropsies and the other damage that happens the freshman and sophomore year with the laptops. So that's what we're looking to do. And I'm going to let Randy address the repair part of it, and what we're doing to save the district some money on the repair part of it on this purchase.
How many teacher laptops are you going to have, and how many will the 8th grade need?
We have 140 laptops returning back to us because we're issuing 140 out. Everybody has a laptop. So we have that many to play with. So we will have spares of the D830s, so that if there is damage to the D830, we can part it and do things like that. Plus, we still have a ton of parts in-house.
Cost of 200.
That's going to depend on the model, but we're looking at anywhere between, depending what we get, anywhere between, I would say 85 to 95, somewhere in there, okay?
And we will bring more information
Yes.
to you. We're just.
I will get quotes and things like that. to bring
This
forward.
was really supposed to be where we're at on technology across the district, and where we're at on the high school one-to-one initiative, just our status update. We do have some quotes. We will bring some information very soon. They're kind of giving you a sneak peek to part of our Mission 2020 plan,
This is the top
year
end of
one.
Mission 2020, year one.
Year one.
So how many 8th graders do we have?
Mr. Franklin? Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right at around 110.
With the additional purchase of the 200 laptops, we're going to purchase additional parts to go with those instead of buying the accidental warranty. We're wanting to try to do that. If we can buy the additional parts, which we can, we'll be able to buy those. It will save us about $150 per laptop on the warranty cost. And we will just do the in-house repairs ourselves. So we could save quite a bit of money, thousands of dollars in just warranty, and we just do it ourselves. In order to work on particular laptops, we need to be A+ certified. So I think we're going to look into that to get A+ certified, so we can work on those here in-house. And the same thing with the Acers, we're going to buy additional parts for those, and that way we can keep those going for another year. And the Vostros that I currently have right now that are out of warranty, I've been keeping those going this year. I do have some additional parts over there that I had from when the warranty was about to go out. I got it from Dell. So I'll be able to put a lot of those back together and get those back down to the lower levels. But hopefully everything will go well. The way I've got everything parted, and to Dr. Lorenz and Mr. Davis, we should be good to go with the Acers for the next year out of warranty. I can take care of those, get those fixed in-house. And the same thing with the, if we go with the Lenovo's, which we think we might, those are pretty good laptops, we'll be able to fix those as well.
We are investigating opportunities. Sorry, I just want to, I'm really proud. They've been proactive. Randy had suggested, Mr. Sellers had suggested maybe some professional development training that our tech team might need to work on some of these new laptops. So all 4 of them are going to be receiving that training, and we'll do that through our Title VI monies, right, Ms. Gomes? Yes. So we're real excited about that, and really been trying to provide some high quality professional development for our classified team members as well. So
have we looked at leasing any of the computers versus stuff? I mean, you think about it, every laptop, whatever, every 3 years or so, 4 years, the technology is going away. I mean, would it be better option to lease those? Because from what I was gathering, we were talking about the Acers, be able to buy parts for another year to keep those viable. So then you're really looking at, you got to buy another set of laptops for freshmen and sophomores probably within the next year and a half or so. So in reality, we probably really need to look at roughly 400 new laptops for the entire high school. And then if you add the 110, so you're looking at 510 roughly for all the way through the 8th grade. So what would be the viability of just leasing the 500 and something, whatever laptops, and getting it all new and then keeping that technology more current?
Okay, first, this would be year 1 of a multi-year plan. And so the next phase of this addresses the freshman sophomore class and also addresses the 7th grade and some other technology moving down into the just first through the elementary levels. The only issue with leasing is we can't push it down. Okay, at the end of that time period, your lease is done, and it gets returned, or you purchase at that end at that point. So by owning it, it winds up in the end being a better investment when we're done, because we can keep those running for many, many years. But even the D830s right now, they're 8 years old, but they're still viable, usable computers that work just fine. So I think we could look at both things, but I think if you're looking to push down, then if you're willing to spend more money, we can push with new a lot further down if you would like, but that's going to cost you more money as we do that. If you're going to want to go all the way down to the 7th grade and 6th grade levels and push on down even further than that and put new in classrooms. So there's multiple ways of looking at it.
So how far are you talking of doing one-on-one?
Down to at least to the 7th grade.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because they're capable of carrying a device.
Our high school kids aren't capable of carrying a device.
Well, some are and some aren't.
Well,
I think
I'm
it's.
just saying. I've heard.
I think that's a generality. I think that's just. I mean, we average losing about 50 screens a year on computers. In this district, we have 900 laptops. Okay, we get 50 cracked screens in a year at the high school, roughly. Okay, at the lower levels, we don't get that breakage. They don't get dropped. They don't use it as much. Now, I'm not saying at the middle school whether they'd be taking those computers home in the evenings or they would be staying in the school. That hasn't been determined yet, and that's an administrator thing. That's not my part. I don't know that. So if they're staying in the building, less breakage. If they go home, they may have some breakage, but it's not a significant amount. It really is not. On a scale, it's minimal.
How many of those are issued to our high school kids?
Of which?
Of the 50.
Of the 50, I'd say 40 are probably broken by high school kids in a year. 10%.
Well, no, because the rest aren't issued to the high school kids. They're being issued
No,
to
I will.
teachers and.
Of the 400 kids at the high school, or 360. Okay, 36 to 40 screens are broke every year, 10%. We run about a 10% to 15% breakage rate on screens. But they pay for the screens. Okay? The first one's on us. That's the insurance part of it that we collect at the beginning of the year. And then after that, they are charged for their screens as they break them. So it's not coming out of Hyde, it's being paid for by the student and the families.
What do you anticipate the man hours are to upkeep that? I mean, is that gonna be something to start getting some old technology?
We've already been doing it for
I've been doing it this year.
multiple years now. So
But I mean, but it's gonna increase though as you go lower and lower, right?
Well, some of those will still be under, well, no, we'll be doing it, yeah, all the way down.
We
But
already-
Tim will be down at the middle school level. Tim will be doing it there, and I'll be doing it at the high school.
we already have, if you look at it right now, we have 900 laptops dispersed throughout this district at the student level already. Okay, so out of the 1,400 students, there are 900 of them being touched. Those laptops being touched by students in this district, whether it's one-to-one, in classrooms, in labs, or on carts being used in the rooms. So there's already a significant amount already there. So I don't think it's not going to change that much to the amount that's there. There's already, if you look at the lab, an 8th grade lab goes away basically also by giving each 8th grader a laptop. They no longer need a lab in the 8th grade level at the 8th grade level. Same thing with the 7th grade level when that changes. They no longer need that any longer. The carts go away at that point at those 2 grade levels. So it just makes management a little bit easier too. The carts are cumbersome. They're hard to get in, get started. The kids are, it's quicker to keep them on the student.
So what I hear you saying is you actually haven't gone out for a bid on lease program.
Not yet. No.
So we're probably looking at possibly next board meeting or sometime in the near future,
In the next 2 board meetings.
in the next
yes.
2 board meetings. Okay.
In the next
I guess one of my questions would be for Randy. Mr. Sellers there, I've been in your room and it looks to me like you're doing a wonderful job. You have a tremendous amount of work to do. One thing I didn't notice is I didn't notice any students in there helping you. Do we have a program like that where they get involved in helping repair these computers?
We don't have something like that, but I do have an aide in there that helps me with, the technology. If a student comes in, I have 2 aides that help me during the day.
It seems to me, yeah, well, that would be good because, anything to help these kids be career ready is a good thing.
Yes.
So.
I totally
But it looks
agree.
to me like you have plenty of work in there to keep several, high school kids busy.
I certainly could. There's no doubt. No doubt.
Well, thank you for everything your IT department does, so we appreciate it.
Now I'm gonna claim ignorance on this one, and you won't hear me say that often.
Randy, you
this-
won't hear that
It's
very often.
recorded. You can replay it all the time.
Well, when the STEAM program, if we don't get another grant for that, we keep those computers that came with the STEAM,
The
correct?
iPads, yes.
we own.
And the computers for Project Lead the Way, Gateway to Technology.
Okay.
Yes.
So could some of those be incorporated, or would you just keep those?
You're in a different,
Right.
you're talking a mini iPad moving into to use this, let's put it this way. After a grant, you're free to move things about the district as you wish. But that's an administrator.
Well, in some grants you are. With this grant, we had to defend and show how we would support sustainability of the STEAM initiative. So we would keep those iPads in our fine arts classrooms, just as we have them. But we are already mapping out a plan. Mrs. Williams is working on this of how we can collaborate with more of our core teachers to use those iPad labs and get those out into the classrooms doing projects with the fine arts teachers. So they are being used and the use will, I think, increase over time. The Project Lead the Way computers, those are like high-powered computers because there's sophisticated software that runs on them. So those will always stay with that Project Lead the Way program.
And those are the ones that are in that building in the lab.
Yes, yes. And also there's, we got a career and technical grant to help us buy equipment for that room this year. So we will continue to apply for those state grants to help
sustain those programs.
So
as well.
when the steam is over and we have to maintain those,
Mhm.
that's us. We don't have a warranty or
Right,
anything
that
like
would
that.
be correct. I mean, eventually there's, actually we wrote into the grant, I think they call it refreshing
Yes.
iPads. And so we did buy, some extra, refreshing
So
for
they can
those
go back-
iPads.
They can go back and have the batteries replaced. 'Cause
Right.
It's like $180 if you don't
Right.
do it.
So we have, I think, at least 1 or 2 refreshes, on our iPads for that very reason.
Thank you.
So I got a question, and I'll echo Mr. Birchie too. I think you do a great job in there with the amount of laptops you have to deal with. And I know you kind of touched to it, but I guess I just want to talk a little more about it. You know, I can remember back to the years when we did have on the Vostros, the warranty, and I guess even on the HPs, so all of them, or the Acers. And, you know, remember having discussions with you at end of the school year, laptop turn-in, and all the mailing out of laptops.
Yes.
So I guess I'm getting from what you said earlier that since this year you've been doing that maintenance, did you do the maintenance also this past summer, or were all of them still sent out warranty-wise?
The Vostros were still under warranty, so they repaired them all before. I had to have them all repaired by June 21st, I believe it was, all the Vostros. So I got those all ready to go for the next school year. I was able to procure a lot of extra parts because Dell was pretty kind. You know, their reps would come down and they would let me have an extra part here and there. So I've got like 30 bottom bases, 30 display covers. So the only other cost that it's probably going to cost us going to be like screens, the LCD screens. And you can pick those up for probably $60 or $70 per screen. So,
and I guess the other focus I have that more is your labor, your time this summer, because you're going to also pick up now what you can't send out that you could last year. So have you taken that into account? And maybe is it just you, or is Jeff or one of the other tech guys going to come in and help do repairs? Because I guess what I'm looking at is if you have 180 repair, can you do that in that summer?
Right.
Or are you planning to increase?
It'll be us all, but 9 times out of 10, you know, if I feel like that I'm going to need help, I will definitely go to Jeff, and I'll definitely ask him and ask Ben to come over and help me get those turned around as quickly as I can and get them re-imaged and ready to go for the next school year.
Most will probably get hit during the year a little more effectively too, because as it breaks,
you're not waiting for warranty.
Yeah,
Right.
You don't have to wait for 3-4 weeks to get a turnaround on a box.
Right.
You can fix it and we're good to go and get it out of here. So
sounds good. Thank you. Thanks.
But we're all here to help.
I dare you to ask one last question.
No.
Is there another one? What do you think about the with the push of a lot of stuff with Google Classroom, Google Docs, Google in general with educational apps, so going with the Chromebooks versus your actual laptops?
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We had 2 Chromebooks in for teacher evaluation, along with all the laptops that they went around and they all tested and looked at and went with what they liked. The METC conference just happened in St. Louis, and I guess it was St. Louis, St. Charles, somewhere that way. And some of the teachers from here went, and one of the teachers from Whiteman took the Chromebook with them to this conference. So he was going to use it to take notes and things like that during the event. Well, it turned out that all the presenters and everyone in the audience could not get on the wireless. The wireless was not fast enough. So no one could log into their Chromebooks at all, even the presenters. So they had to wing it without their presentations and without all the other things. If you do not have internet access at all, you can't even log into your Chromebook. So that is part of the issue that worries me, is if we're going to go the Chromebook way, which yes, you can save some money going down a Chromebook, but in the area where we live, we have a lot of students that do not have wireless at home, that have dial-up at home, that I mean, there's just a mix being in this rural area. In a big city, in Lee Summit, where there's wireless everywhere you go, pretty much, you could probably make that work. But where we're sitting, I stress that we could have major issues with kids and trying to be equitable across all levels, that we've got students in the outreaches here that have absolutely no internet access. What do we do there? And that's the part that I look at is for equity, how do we handle that? So that's the drawback, living in a rural area and trying to support a Chromebook to me, from a technical side. Would it do everything else that we would need it to do other than that? Possibly, yes. I don't have anything really against them. It's just when they have issues, they have issues. And there's a lot of districts that had some issues this year with them, including being down for a week during an update. So it happens.
If they're down for a week during an update,
nobody does
and it's a
schoolwork.
cloud-based system, what do you do with your Chromebook? Nothing.
It's a word. You look at it.
It is now a paperweight.
I'm just going on.
It happened to Wentzville. Okay.
Yeah, it's a word processor.
Google sent out this big, huge update, and Google does automatic updates. Okay, and unlike Microsoft, they do not you can't install an intermediate server in your district to control the update. So what happened is this big update came down. They had 2,500 plus Chromebooks. They're all trying to receive an 8 gigabyte update. Their whole internet came to a stop. It just didn't affect the Chromebook. It affected total operations in the district at that point.
Might as well just cancel school.
Well, if you're a technology-based school district, yes, you have to look at that. And those are some things that you just, that make me as a tech person just go, well, do we really want to go down this road just to save a couple bucks? I don't know. That's you guys can weigh that out, but in this area, you got to be very careful how you handle it.
I'd like to thank Michael for that question because it led to something where we gather more information as to how some of this works. So thank you. Yeah.
The Google Docs side of the house, using a laptop, a regular Microsoft laptop, works great. I think Google Docs is, right now we have unlimited storage out on Google Drive. Teachers can save all their data out there. A lot of my inventories and things like that's out on Google Docs. And I use it extensively because I don't want to lose any of my data. I may be without internet for a little while in case something internet goes down in the building, but I know my data's there. And when it comes back up, and it saves immediately. As soon as I type in something, I know it's saved in Google Drive. It's saved immediately. So I like Google Docs a lot because I can access it from anywhere in the world.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for the information. Just so everybody's aware, this was just information only. We'll obviously get more and accurate
Good information, guys. Thank you so much.
on the Mission 2020 stuff. So thanks
Yes.
again for all the information. All right, next item is the surveillance intercom and remote release system.
Yes, as we finish up our safe and secure entrance project, we went out for bid for video surveillance, intercom, and remote release systems for all 4 of our school buildings. Mr. Davis was a great help in establishing maps for all of our buildings and camera locations. We did have 3 companies that submitted bids based on the specifications that were written and provided. We have selected and I'm recommending to the Board of Education tonight to accept the bid provided by Capital City Telecom, a datacom company, in the amount of $155,686.
I would like to table this until the next board meeting, because, well, I only have page 5 and page of the bid, and this is an awful lot of money. I mean, is this what is this like, I don't know. I mean, if we just spend all that money on safety and security, $155,000 more is an awful lot of money. We can't get the security that we need at a cheaper price. That's a lot of money.
Well, Miss Davis, I have went on the internet and I looked at eBay and I looked at Amazon and I looked at the proposed cost of the bid on all the different cameras on here, and the prices are substantially higher, if not double in some cases, of what the cameras cost on eBay and Amazon. Now, I've handed some of you folks actual camera costs that I got off the internet, and there were cheaper ones on there, and there were more expensive ones on there. The issue I have is some of the pages of the bid are missing. But one of the major issues I have is the active D51 or equivalent, or the D61 or equivalent. When you use the term or equivalent, what will we be getting as the equivalent? Well, some of the equivalents I looked at on the internet and Amazon were $36 for the same camera that cost $153. So the issue I have is the substitution when you use the word equivalent, even on the X-Acto video system, or equivalent, at a price of $47,000. Now, I looked at some other management systems on the internet, and they were, oh my God, they were considerably cheaper. I guess one question I have is, we have IT guys in the room. Are they still in here? Good God, they ran. Okay. I guess one of the questions I have is, does our IT department have the capability to do this? And if we can buy the equipment at a considerably cheaper cost, then why wouldn't we? Now, on these bids, could you possibly tell me who bid the contract?
I'd be happy to. We received bids from the one that you have. We also have another one from Kenton Brothers Systems for Security. And then we also received a bid from Super Circuits. Also, just to point out, Mr. Birchie, that part of the contract was the price that's quoted on that quote sheet is, it also includes labor at prevailing wage and warranty, as well as at the bottom of it is the management system.
Okay, because all the equipment that I looked up included 3-year warranties. The issue is pages are missing to the contract, and it doesn't show the specific warranty or service provided, if it's a monthly service or anything else. But the end cost is $155,686. But if you add up all the equipment, it comes to $95,031. So I'm assuming that the other $60,000 would be installation cost at a cost of $526.31 per camera at 114 cameras. So you see what I'm saying? If you add these categories up, it only comes up to $95,031. So I'm going to assume that the rest of it would be the IT tech support and the installation cost and everything else that's provided in the contract.
Okay.
But the issue I have is it doesn't show that on here.
Okay.
So I'm agreeable with Mrs. Davis about tabling this until we can get some more information on how much it's actually going to cost. And what I would also like to know is, I came up with an overall cost without our IT department between $28,000 to $35,000, and I can figure out there's probably a 10% overrun cost adjustment on there somewhere, be it either in a less than that or more. So if it's possible, maybe we could have our own guys do that at a cost of $28,000 to $35,000 for equivalent equipment, which they show on this bid, but they don't price out for us. And I guess another issue is I called some local folks in this area, Night Watch Security, and another company to ask them, were they privy to the bid? The bid was posted in the Knob Noster item. That doesn't mean that those guys get the Knob Noster item in Sedalia or in the Kansas City area to know the bid was being solicited. So Night Watch wasn't called. They weren't solicited for the bid. The man I talked to, Jeff, said he would have liked to bid the contract. But I asked him, I said, well, as far as installation goes, how much work is it? And he said, you have qualified people in your district that work IT that could do this. But, you know, the bigger issue I have is the cost breakdown, the not showing the $60,000, and the fact that they use the word equivalent as an option for replacement cameras when I've seen a wide variety of prices on both Amazon, eBay.
Is there a software update included in this?
The software is included.
Well, without having all the pages, we can't really
Sure.
make that determination.
I guess I would just need direction from the board, which direction, if you were wanting to reject this bid, or if you were just wanting to table it.
I have several questions I'd like to ask the IT techs if we can get, are they here?
I tried to.
And I'd like to say something else. I am certainly not opposed to the security system idea. I just would like to have more facts and details as to how this money is going to be spent.
It's my understanding, and we have 4 board members that are here from the previous board, that the reason that this wasn't included in the front security part of the buildings was because I was told that our IT techs could put these cameras in at a substantially lower cost, and that's why it wasn't included in the remodel to begin with. And now we're going out for more money, and this does not include the entry, the back entry.
It does. It does.
Oh, well.
Yeah. And I would like to, and Mrs. Matthews, we did have conversations about that. Would it be, you know, cheaper and more, you know, cheaper for our own people to do it? But we just heard their presentation. And you all asked some really good questions about what we're trying to do with updating. Thank goodness. Oh, good. We have a couple questions for you guys. Yeah, really. But we have so much that we are putting on our technology department's plate right now, in terms of if we do some of the proposals that were presented tonight, and that's only part of year 1. To be quite frank, that's only part of year 1. And what we approved at last month's meeting, which we are so happy and so thankful, it is taking about 2 hours to put up each board? 3 hours?
Yeah, about two. We've got it down to about 2 hours.
But I mean, that takes some time. So we're keeping them pretty busy, I guess. So that, and I know we are, so that was one of the reasons why let's go out to bid, see how much it would cost. I would like to say too, and I know Dr. Norman did speak to this when she first started talking, but that this has always been part of the original plan, you know, is to eventually upgrade the security cameras and work on, again, securing some of those back doors, that sort of thing. And really putting more security features in North Monster Elementary. They had already done their doors the year before, moved how they could get in through the doors. Mr. Coron really led that effort, but they don't have a buzzer system, you know, type on their building. But the other piece was, I just wanted to give you all an update in our 2013 project fund, and that's from our, you know, the lease purchase levy. We do have $284,162.29 remaining in that project fund account. Now, by all means, I agree, we want to spend that in a very fiscally responsible manner. But, you know, and we're more than happy to gather more information, more details. But, and we can definitely let Mr. Davis speak to some of this as well.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'd like to ask you a couple questions, Mr. Davis.
Yes. Come back.
Microphone if you need here.
I'm good. I think I can talk loud enough.
Okay.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you.
Really?
Okay, maybe. I'm just trying to figure out the feasibility
Of the surveillance.
of a surveillance system to the tune of $155,000, $60,000 for labor. The software update, the doorway entries, we've already spent millions of dollars on security in the front of the buildings. Can you give us your opinion about some of this?
As far as,
Would it be feasible would it be feasible for you all to buy the camera stuff, what we needed to make it safe and secure, and install it? Would you have time for that during the summer? Or how long would it, can you do it? Can you not do it?
as a summer project,
Or later, I mean, we're
Well,
not in a hurry to,
if-
obviously.
I'm gonna answer this truthfully. Yes, it can be done in-house, but there's a cost to it. You've got, it will slow us down a little bit on some other things. These will be up before school ends pretty much. But it's not gonna go in as quickly as it would be if you had a company come in and install it. We can't just go into the whole school, run cable throughout it. But day to day, throughout the summer, yes, security cameras can be hung, the network cable can be done and in place. So it can be done in steps, but you cover your critical areas first, and then you move to the other areas as you can do it. But again, like I said, it says it's at a cost. It's how quickly you need these types of things done. But
Well,
Do we need this many cameras? I mean,
I
we're
don't know.
talking,
how many are on it? Was it 100? Is it still 120?
These were based off of the maps
Yes.
that you provided, yes.
Yeah, I drew up 120 cameras, and the reason I drew up 120 cameras was because I wanted to make sure every nook and cranny in this district was totally covered, and I do mean everywhere. That's in a hallway, down a stairwell, behind a stairwell, everything was covered.
School
Now,
property, right
yes,
outside.
outside
yeah.
and inside. So that's covering everything.
so
Could it
we're
be
gonna,
pared down? Sure it could. I mean, any security company will tell you that same thing. Yes, we can do less, we can do more. It depends on what you want.
well, I certainly.
But I went to the max when I did it.
I certainly don't want you to feel like you're overwhelmed with work to do, but I think we should probably look at maybe, is there a local contractor that could possibly give us a more cost affordable bid? And we certainly need to look at the cost of this equipment after having looked online to see what it costs. I make the motion that we table the video surveillance system for now, and then possibly look at some other options, and maybe get with Jeff
Yeah.
on a way to get this done at a later date. So,
well, she already made the motion, and
Okay.
I'll second it, but I like that. With that many cameras, are we not infringing? I presume you're not putting them in the bathroom. You're not putting them in the bathrooms.
No, they're not in bathrooms.
You're
They're not in
putting them
bathrooms.
the
Oh, no.
bathroom.
No, they're not in
Oh, no,
bathrooms.
they can't be.
They're not in classrooms. They're only in open public areas.
but I certainly think we have a
That
need
would
for
be like-
security,
I
inside
didn't
and
mean
outside of the building.
everywhere.
Well, you said every
Every public,
company, so.
every public area would be covered.
So then are the monitors for these, are they in each individual school or what?
The servers would be in each individual school, and they would have 2 network cards in them that would be VLAN together so that you could monitor it on multiple monitors in a.
My cell phone, I
on a-
could eventually,
yes,
right?
Cell
If
phone, you can
someone
monitor,
called and said there's something happening at,
you can monitor it on your
certain
cell phone,
building.
you can monitor it on your computer.
which is nice.
She would be able to access it from home,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
But it would be password protected. I mean,
Yes.
only certain people would have access to our camera
Yeah,
system.
yeah, nobody could just go in and get to it. Yes, well, they're all that way anymore. Every security system is.
Yeah, as long as smart.
I have a question. Comment. I won't be here. This is my last one, but you're putting emphasis on safety and security. Oh, we get that done. I don't think we can do that. Continue to do that. We need to get the safety and security done. And that means if you have to have some extra meetings or some other time, but also we need to look at these techs. How much are we going to put on them? How much money, how much raise are they going to get to do this extra work?
There would be no, I mean, there's no raise involved. If we hung a camera a day, it'd take 120 days to hang 120 cameras.
But how long can we keep saying, well, we can do this in the house with the same crew? You know, everybody wear out and things, but if one of our in-house people retire, resign, or go get a better job, what are we gonna do?
Well, I think our tech just answered that. There's no
tech-
problem with that.
It's-
And it's 120
It can be
days.
done, it's all in how quick you guys want it done. That's gonna be the defining factor is, do
Well,
you want it
but,
done now, or
but-
can you wait and do it?
but a
over the
contractor
second or
couldn't
third
get
time?
in here till summertime anyway. They're gonna be in the
More
same
than likely.
situation you are.
They're
Maybe-
looking at,
Maybe spring break,
spring
Yeah.
break.
start.
Well, it says 60 days from start to finish to install the system. So you can't get that done in a week.
No, but they would
Yeah.
start
Okay.
in different.
Well, I think a motion's been made and seconded.
Well, yeah, we'll do the formality. Motion was made
Thank
by
you, Jeff.
Kelly to table this until the next meeting, and along with that, some additional information. It has been seconded. You know, she did initially.
Yeah, she did.
So motion's been made, has been seconded to table this to next meeting, with more information to come. Is there any further discussion on this?
I just want to say that I don't think it's an issue of us not wanting the safety and making our kids safe, but I don't think we need to, spend that much money. I don't believe that that's, $155,000 or $48,000 is going to keep the kids safer if we spend $155,000. So, I mean, by no means am I saying that the kids' safety is not important. Absolutely it is.
I agree.
So,
The only thing I want to add to that, as being one of the board members from when we did the bond issue, or not the bond issue, but the loan. And I've slept since then, so I may not remember it correctly, but I do remember the security cameras was, from what I remember, was not an option of the construction effort. We knew that the loan was going to be for a certain amount, or we were going out for a certain amount of financing. And we had a projection of what the architectural cost was going to be. So there was thought that there would be contingency funds sitting on the end of that after we got the construction bid and made that award, we would know what that balance was. And then the idea was, depending on how contingencies played out during construction, the security system would be looked at that time or at a later date. So that's the way I remember it, that it wasn't pulled out because of the thought that we would just automatically go to our in-house people. I totally agree. I think the security thing is important. If you look at technology of cameras now, to the age or the technology we have of some of the cameras in the district, to not see a grainy picture in the future if we have an issue, to be able to actually see a face is going to be an improvement, especially for the investigative side. I think the other thing we need to remember too is, and I appreciate you taking the time and finding sources of equipment prices and stuff, but we just got to remember that is the piece of equipment itself. It's not taking into account wiring. It's not taking into account overhead management. It's not taking into account scheduling of the work. It's more than just that camera cost or what that server cost to record the data, put the data out on the internet so we can see it. So is 155 high? It appears it's our lowest bid. I hope, we get to see the other bids so we can make that, see that too ourselves. But without doing it in-house, it's going to be a pricey bill because somebody's got to pay for those materials and we would be paying them. The difference is if we do it in district, we're not charging overhead profit on those supplies, but who we're buying them from is going to. So just, I guess, keep that in mind too as we go move forward. But that's all I'm doing.
It's not the Jeff City.
Yes. Jeff, when you checked references, did you?
They've been in business, I think, over 20 years.
Yeah.
Doing intercom?
It's over 20 years.
Yes.
Doing surveillance cameras?
Just
I don't know how long they've been doing that.
well, they do copiers and
They
surveillance.
were a computer machine company, telephone company
Yes,
that got
they do all
into the security business.
They bought
that is
another
right, yes.
security business.
They bought them out.
Our high bid was 218,000. Our mid bid was 186,000, and this is our low bid of 155. And Mr. Fisk, I would just ask for clear direction of the board moving forward. If we table it, I heard local businesses, so if we want to solicit additional bids, we will need to put it back out for bid, if that's the pleasure of the board. But I just would like clear direction on how to proceed.
Okay.
Motion.
Well, our next meeting is, of course, in April, gonna be in April. It's gonna have to schedule, or that's on the agenda because of the election date. Does anybody what's the pleasure of the board? Do they want other bids? Do they want just to go with this and get more information on the current bids? See the current bids?
I'd like to see the equivalent removed on the bid that we have at this time, and solicit 3 new bids, and possibly from as local as Kansas City or Sedalia contractors. I am also worried about the long-term support and how far people have to travel. After calling a couple other companies, once somebody from out of town or out of state installs this equipment, nobody else wants to touch it. And that becomes an issue over a period of time. I mean, I realize that, all the stuff you can buy off the internet or whatever has a 3-year warranty, or maybe these folks have a 1 or 2, 3-year warranty. But part of the issue is the bid doesn't go into talking about warranties, because so many pages of the bid are actually missing for myself to take a look at. So.
Well, and that's good clarification for Dr. Norman and I, with these bids, you can see the full bids. It was just, we were trying to condense, because it's rather lengthy document. So what we did was put the company, and the exact things they were bidding out and the total cost. So, but we can get that information. So rebid, right? And take out the equivalent.
Okay. Is there, because Jeff said that this was the max. Is there a company that can come in through our buildings and say, this is a security area, this is not a security area, and then come and say, well, I think you need this many cameras, this many cameras?
I will read a portion of their bid to you, Mrs. Davis.
Okay.
Capital City Telecom, a datacom company, has provided our quote based on the specifications and the invitation to bid number 15-01 video surveillance. We appreciated the opportunity to walk through the school locations, and in doing so, we did notice that we could change the number of cameras and the type of cameras to give you a better overall system at a much lower cost. Because of the bid due date, we were not able to complete a second proposal, but we would like to discuss with you so that we can provide the best system possible to you at the best possible price. So if the board were to select this bid, they would be willing to come back in and negotiate.
Well, in their words, they didn't have enough time to submit a second proposal with their suggestions on it. So that says something right there. Maybe we didn't have a period of time for it to be a fair assessment to the company.
I think we did. I think it depends how many people they have working on the project too, and how many other bids they're bidding out. It's a time crunch. I did feel like we had a fair window, and I felt we put out for bid on January 21st, and the return date was February 27th. So they had almost 5 weeks to make the bid. And the other portion of this is we're just trying to be good stewards. We do advertise in our local newspaper. We do have companies. Jeff City got a hold of this. Kansas City company got a hold of it, and where was the other company from, Dr. Norman? It was a local company, but they used a provider out of Austin, Texas for their equipment. So the bid address is Austin, Texas, but it's a local company who just uses this company as a supplier.
So we would have to accept their bid for them to come back out and renegotiate the bid.
We can renegotiate a bid if we accepted this proposal.
But this proposal, like I said, I figured out the labor cost at being, and the equipment is very, it's very expensive equipment comparable to what I found on the internet. But the overall labor cost was $60,000. But on this sheet here, it says it doesn't include prevailing wage, so it could go up from there. It could continue. We don't know what prevailing wage is for that,
right,
or the number of people that they'll have installing the system. So it could be $200,000 before we know it. So.
Okay, so from what I gather out all this is that we want to reject the bid, send back out for a new bid. Is that pretty much what everybody's saying? I mean, hopefully that's the consensus of what's going on here. I know we keep talking about other things, but from what I get is that we're gonna reject the bid and please go back out and resubmit. And then when the new bids come in, please provide all of the bids and to include all of the nomenclature that goes on with the bid to the board members so that they can review it.
That sounds good, Randy.
Okay, I'm just checking. I just want to make sure that's okay so we can make that and then so we can vote. Okay, that would be the clear direction you're looking for, Dr. Norman?
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
I'm just
Johnson.
checking.
Okay, that's gonna change our formalities then, because we have a motion to just table at this point. So do we wanna pull that, or do we wanna amend that motion?
You're all looking at me.
Well,
If
we
you
could,
made a motion.
and it becomes old business then, and we bring it up.
Reject it, just
Okay, so
I can amend it, right? And then we can just go out for new bids, or do I have to reject it?
you have
I'm
to
not
reject
sure what the
You'd have
formalities
to
are on
reject
this.
it, because that motion's our
Then I
actual
will
motion
reject
on the
that.
table.
Well,
Okay.
if we
If we move to amend your motion, I'm gonna move to amend your motion to include a new bid procedure. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. And then we'll take a vote on that, and then we'll come back to the original. So, if that's okay?
Yeah, that works too, so sorry, you're right. You gotta love, what's that guy's name? Robert? All right, so a motion's been made by Matt to amend the motion to reject the bids, go back out for more bids, or rebid it, and provide that information going forward at a future date. Has been seconded. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the motion to reject the bids and go back out for bids? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0.
so now we'll need a vote on the.
So now we'll need a vote on the original motion, because we've now amended the motion, so we now need a, sorry, Katie, this is your first night.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh,
sorry.
She got more pencils.
you can get all this on YouTube.
Okay, so the main original motion was to table until a future meeting.
And
Correct.
now to go out for bids, because we've amended that motion.
And to go out for bids, which is part of the other motion. So a motion was made by Kelly to table this to a future meeting with more information, for more information. That was seconded. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? That motion passes 7-0. So just to recap with you, Katie, you good on that, or do you want me to recite what we did? Okay. Thank you. Good job. And good discussion, everybody. Now, next item up is copier lease proposal.
Okay, I just want to preface this with, I did upload the bid sheet and actually what, the equipment that we asked for, proposed equipment. It is a very short document, but I also would like to let you know that we are currently, on a 3-year lease and it expires, I believe, March 25th. We have already sent the notice for them to come up and pick up all our copiers. And so we do, it is urgent that, so that we have copiers in our district, that we reach some kind of consensus tonight so that we do have copiers in district. What has happened 3 years ago, the Board of Education approved a 3-year contract, 36-month contract. They did go with GFI Digital. And Jeff and I and Dr. Norman have been working on this. I will say that, and we talked to a lot of staff members, they have served our district for 8 years. We have been very pleased with the copier for the most part, especially the latest models that we have. I did speak to a lot of teachers about that. But our equipment is 8 years old. And so we were needing to update so we could put some more networking features on there. We also in the bid asked for, we wanted to have at least one color copier in the main office area
of all 5 offices, including the district team office and every main office building in our 4 buildings. So, I just wanted to let you know that that's what we asked for. And we did receive 3 bids. It was advertised. GFI, our current provider, provided a bid of $37,896 for a 3-year period. Okay, that includes a total lease payment, total service payment. It also outlines our overall cost per copy usage, and they read our meters to see how much we were using. I do want to commend our staff. They have taken seriously our desire to go more paperless, so they have been good stewards and really been conservative with copying. I mean, there are sometimes we have to copy, but and with printing, but they've done a good job with that. Our second bid, and this company works also with a lot of local companies. So the service has never been an issue. In fact, they are very good at providing service. Our next company that bid was out of Kansas City, Kansas, and they contacted us. Midwest Office Technology. Their total bid was for $45,240, much higher for the 36-month bid. And then Datacom, who also bid the cameras, did provide a bid for over 3 years, 36 months at $39,276. Again, this includes, just want to make sure I'm clear on that, 12 altogether copiers. 11, sorry, I better tell you right, 11 copiers. And some are black only copiers. Others are a combination of colored and black copiers. They have fax expansion kits. They have networking capabilities. Jeff, if you want to chime in here anytime, the new features are really going to be helpful for us and our teachers, right?
Yes. It's even getting onto the network, it makes it easier for logging in and everything else. It's Active Directory.
And we did,
Fits into the network.
right, thank you. And we did require on this bid that they be brand new copiers too, because we've had our copiers for 8 years. They've done great things, but they're kind of outdated technology.
And you had GFI for the whole 8 years?
Yes, we did.
That's who we have now.
It is, and we have been pleased.
So we're gonna keep them, and they're just gonna give us new equipment.
Yeah, they're gonna come, I believe it's March 25th, they're gonna come pick them up, their expense, and whatever company gets the bid was going to bring
So
copiers.
it sounds to me like they've done a relatively good job if we're willing to look at them again.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good.
And they are the lowest bid on what we put out for our specs.
How many colored copiers did we have in the past?
We had, oh, Jeff, help me out on that. We had.
We have one in the central office, and that would be the only color copier that we have in the district.
But we're gonna have multiple.
And the
color
reasoning,
copies.
Every office,
I will give you the, I can explain why we went with color copiers in each of the buildings. Over the years, we've taken the color printers out of the buildings in each of the individual rooms, and we've pared it down to where there's very few color printers in each of the buildings now. There's one in most buildings. So cost-wise, it's cheaper to have a color copier per copy than it is to print a color page out of an HP printer. You're in a 5-cent range for a full color copy out of a color copier, and you're in the 15 to 25-cent range coming out of a printer. So cost-wise, you're saving tons of money. Ink in this building alone in K&E a few years back was just the ink in the cartridges was $25,000. That's not even counting the copier. So we've gotten rid of those. And now we're down to, by going with color copier, the copier will be in the office. So anytime there won't be, they have to go to the office to use that color copier.
So on the printers, we absorb the cost of all the cartridges.
Correct.
And on this,
They provide.
GFI provides it all.
Correct.
Which is
So
nice.
that's good.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So you encourage them to use a copier machine instead of a printer.
Yes.
Now, does anybody know, did we actually spend that much money printing last year?
Oh, yeah.
Over 3 years or 3-year contract? Oh, yes, ma'am.
So it's
Yeah.
an average of 2.
Yeah.
So if we go over, they're
2.6
gonna
million
cover.
pieces of paper.
Well, if we go over, there will be some extra charges if we go over our average print count, correct?
Yes,
We still have to watch that, but we can track it.
But that's also them supplying the paper also. Yeah.
No, we have to buy the paper.
Oh, we buy the paper
Mhm.
by the
Yeah.
pallet.
Mhm.
So that's why we
Yeah,
see
half
that.
a truckload, yeah, we just bought.
Who do we get that from, Smith?
It's a paper company that we bid it out, but it was the same company we've been using. Yeah, they were the cheapest.
Yeah.
So, and again, the time frame on this is because that original 3-year contract just runs out, but I did want to preference that.
So that's 37,000 ain't good.
No,
Or is
for
that over the whole
36
three-
months.
The whole years?
Mhm. For 36 months.
Yeah, that does.
That is a lease, yeah.
So I'll move we approve the copier lease proposal as presented.
Second.
Fast draw. Motion's been made by Matt to approve the copier lease as presented, has been seconded. Any further discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0. I hit the X button, so I close my agenda.
Okay, oh, no problem.
Oh, yeah, the next one, some more good news. Not like we haven't had a lot already tonight, but some more good news. Our board, the Not-Nostra District Board, is eligible for an Outstanding Board of Education Award through MSBA for this school year. There were 7 different areas we could apply in. We chose to pick, after consulting with Dr. Lorenz, myself, we chose to pick the teaching, learning, and assessment. In the prior years, we picked, one year we picked energy.
It was energy and facilities.
Energy facilities, and so you can't repeat which ones you're doing every single year, especially if you win, but I think if you did win, you could. So anyway, this year we went teaching, learning, assessment. Everybody's had this in their packet. A lot of great things the district has done, and it's pretty easy to gather that if you read the write-up. It is pretty lengthy, several pages, but just to kind of also explain, not anybody can just sign up for this. We do have to qualify to be eligible, and some of the rules are that we are, of course, an MSBA member district. The second one is that everybody has received their board training required by the state, and then the last one is we've had at least have an 85% on our APR, which we did. So we do need a motion and all that and vote to send this forward. But Dr. Lorenz also wants to highlight one of the items on the application.
Well, I am very proud, and I have been waiting to apply for this award and to be eligible to apply for this award for some time. I am so very proud of our Board of Education. I'm very proud of our teachers, of our administrators, of our students, of our community, our parents, our staff, our entire staff, support staff, because we have shown tremendous growth in our student achievement. I know we spoke about this last fall, but again, we had to highlight over the last year in this application how we've grown in this area and accomplishments. But just to review, the annual performance report details growth in academic achievement from 55.5 points in 2013. We did move it to 56 points in 2014. Student subgroup achievement stayed consistent with all 14 points being achieved in both 2013 and 14. The overall APR, which is our annual performance report, demonstrates growth from 2013, which was 93.2%, to in 2014, 93.9%. Additionally, I pulled NEE data, or Network for Educator Effectiveness, teacher evaluation data, and I am proud to share with you that teacher evaluations
in the classroom, evidence growth in the implementation of effective learning practices, instructional best practices. Demonstrating growth from, and we had to take it because of this application package, from fall of 2013 to this month, to 2015. All 6 indicators that we look for is in the classroom. Our teachers have grown, and they haven't just grown a little, they've grown a lot in all 6 of these areas. And I want to commend them and highlight this. You can see in our content knowledge, that's really our academic language piece, that students are using academic language, improving their reading, writing, comprehension, and strategies to engage students in that, has grown from 5.3 to 5.9. That is statistically significant. 1.2, the cognitive engagement piece, engaged in the instructional activity itself, has risen from 5.6 to 6.2. Tremendous growth. Look at the 4.1 indicator, rigorous instruction, critical thinking, problem solving, grown 4.9 to 5.6. Our teachers and students have been working incredibly hard. I am so proud. In fact, when I first saw these, I teared up. I'm very proud. 5.1, that student engagement piece, that motivating behavior to want to learn, has increased. We can see from 5.6 to 6.3. Secure relationships, we've always done very well in that area. Knowing our students, knowing their strength areas, knowing their growth areas, providing intellectual safety in our classroom. 6.2 to 6.6 growth, tremendous. And then look at this growth in 7.4. That's the formative assessment. Are we checking every day to see if our students are learning, if they're getting it or not, mastering the important objectives? And our teachers have grown tremendously in this, 5.4 to 6.2. Keep in mind the scale is on a 7.0 scale. So anywhere from 0 to 7. And again, I just want to congratulate our teachers, our administrator, our entire support staff, our Board of Education, community, parents, because what we see here is high quality professional development focused on best practices, instructional practices, growing our professional expertise and trades. Our growth in our teachers aligns directly with the growth that we're seeing in student achievement. This package will go before evaluation committee, but I tell you, we have a very good opportunity. I'm so proud of this data that I plan to submit a proposal to present and share this data at our MSBA regional conference, state conference. Are there any questions about our application package? I would like to thank Mr. Fisk and April Williams. We all collaborated on this application package, and
That's awesome.
It's outstanding.
It is.
I did. Thank you.
So with that, if everybody's in agreement, we need a motion to be able to submit this to MSBA.
I make the motion to submit this to MSBA as presented.
All right, motion's been made by Kelly to submit the application for Outstanding Board of Education in the area of performance area of teaching, learning, and assessment. Motion has been seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0. Thanks, everyone. And again, also, I do want to highlight thanks to all the teachers and support staff, because it certainly isn't just the board making this stuff happen. It's down in the weeds. So appreciate everybody's time on that and hard work. Second one is MSBA Board of Directors, next item on the agenda, MSBA Board of Directors candidate nomination. For those, I guess Matt Cleveland wants to apply for the Board of Directors at MSBA level. There is a nomination form that we have to submit. The board does have to not sponsor him, but vote for it and nominate him and approve it from the board level. So just some notes on the Board of Directors for MSBA. To be eligible to serve on the MSBA Board of Directors, a person must be a member of an active member board and shall have served at least 2 years on their local Board of Education. Candidates for the Board of Directors position must be nominated and approved by action of their respective local Board of Education. And this is to, of course, be a representative on that board. So
I make a motion that Matt be presented. I think you make a good.
I second the motion.
all right, motion's been made by Jim to nominate Matt for the Board of Directors at MSBA level. It has been seconded. Any further discussion? I think you did a great job. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, next item is the insurance service exchange agreement.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fisk. I just wanted to make sure our board was aware of this before I made any kind of commitment at all with this, but this is a suggestion made by Forrest T. Jones. They do work with us with our insurance, 403B plans, cafeteria plans, our flex spending plans. And they have used a different company in the past, and they're wanting to move to American Fidelity Assurance Company program benefits. The benefit to our district and to all of our employees is there will be no fees for HSA banking. Currently now, with the other program that we have, there is a small fee paid to the Bank of New York Mellon. Actually, they oversee that. So actually, Forrest T. Jones is trying to save our team members money and districts. So I think that's a very proactive thing. Also, this will help with some of the administrative tasks and tracking that oftentimes Teresa, Ms. Thomas, will have to do. And there will still be some, but it will take quite a few things off her plate. And that will be American Fidelity having to track and keep up with a lot of those transactions. So it will help Ms. Teresa. And what's really nice too is with our flexible spending plan, and I know we highlighted this in the talking points in the board packet. Currently, when an employee signs up for the flexible spending plan, the entire year's funds are immediately available to any team member, any employee. But in an event an employee spends the entire flex spending amount and leaves the district early for any, unknown reason, they weren't planning on leaving, just life happens, something happens. The district is at risk for having to assume and to try to recover those funds from the employee that no longer works for us. If we go with American Fidelity Assurance Company through Forrest T. Jones, they will accept and assume all that liability and responsibility for that. So it seems like a good thing. I will say that there are over 3,500 school districts across the country that are working with American Fidelity Assurance Company, and that I know Waynesville School District, other federally heavily impacted a district in our state does work with them as well. We also will have debit card availability for flexible spending participants. That would be a new feature. And I think it provides some good opportunities and cost saving to our district and to our employees.
What's approximately the cost savings? Do you have that?
Overall, I don't, but I know in the past, some of the fees anywhere from like
stop payment on checks. It could be like $25. There's an interest rate and annual fee of 0.150%. So, I mean, overall, I don't know, Ms. Davis, but I do know that we don't have to pay those fees if we go with this.
And that goes directly back to
The employees. It saves them money, saves us money as a district in that we're not liable for it. Like if an employee leaves and they've spent all their flex money, we don't have to try to recover it from that individual former employee.
But we don't know how much, we don't even know if it's gonna save us, right?
Well, we know
No, we
with
know.
a fact that
Yeah,
this is gonna
there's
save
no
our
fees.
employees $3 a month right off the bat.
Yes.
I mean, $36 for every employee that has a
Right.
health savings account. They're
That's
gonna
right.
make that money back
Yeah.
immediately. It's also, I mean, any money that we would have been out on one of these FSAs, that's money that we don't have to go into, we don't have to become the debt collector on that. They're the debt collector. They take care of that for us.
And it does remove, I mean, it does provide some more support, just in the tracking.
And-
So it will help Mrs.
And just to
Thomas.
clarify, there's no additional cost for
No.
doing this. This
No.
is a cost neutral thing, in which case, I mean, it doesn't make any difference to us whether we do it, but we're gonna end up saving money for our employees to do it, which then means we're doing right by them.
And this just really was presented to us. I mean, I just got this like 2.5 weeks ago, so I didn't know it was coming, but they did come and meet with us and say that they were, Forrest T. Jones met with us and said, we're looking at ways we can save our districts and our, insurers, people we insure money. So,
and that's for next year.
yes, it would start July 1.
So I'll move we approve the insurance service exchange agreement as presented.
I'll second it.
Our motion's been made to approve the insurance service exchange agreement as presented by Matt. It has been seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is the food service review and annual contract renewal.
Okay, thank you. I know Janice and some of our OPA partners are here with us tonight. We appreciate that. Mark and Kay with OPA and also Janice, our OPA food service director. I think Janice really wanted me just to highlight a few things from the program evaluation that she prepared. Then we'll take any questions, and then we'll talk about, Mark was going to come and talk a little bit about the contract renewal option. In the program evaluation, I think it's important to know that at the time in December, when the data was collected, of our 1550 students at that time in December, 285 students were participating in breakfast and 817 students were participating in lunch, in the lunch program. 18 staff members participated also on this count day. So it was kind of a count of how many individuals in December were participating. The program costs altogether for the program last year, we did spend $78,282. And I want you to know that's what the program cost. We actually, we pay OPA monthly, a monthly bill, but we also receive federal and state funding for reimbursement for providing a healthy breakfast and menu and a la carte food service program, and we take every advantage of any cost savings we can occur on that, and apply for the 6-cent plate, which we started doing last year. That's important to note. And I guess I also, it's just really important to note that previous to last year, so the 3 years before that, we were spending $173,030, $191,000, and $209,000, almost $210 a year. I want to reiterate that it's never our intent to make money on a food service program. It's one of those programs that we feel so important that, we want to provide
the goal would be to be, if we could break even, that would be, you know, an awesome thing. Unfortunately, you know, due to increases in food costs, you can go to the grocery store and see what are grocery bills. Mine personally, I've seen that. I know I spoke with others. There's just increases. But I do want you to know the program goal of OPA is to provide all students with a nutritional breakfast and lunch, following and meeting all state and federal guidelines. It's also to provide staff, parents, and visitors that same opportunity to have a nutritional breakfast and/or lunch. Again, part of supporting CSIP Goal 3, instructional resources, and really Objective 2, ancillary services. We are looking at wanting strategies. It says maintain and improve ancillary services in food service. We are looking at an action step. The district will review food service practices and implement changes to increase effectiveness. This is the time of year we annually review the contract and also go over a program evaluation. I do want to personally thank our committee, and we've had some board members involved on a program evaluation committee where we have been able to provide really good feedback, exchange of ideas, sitting down at the table with OPA to talk about how we can make some improvements in menu selection and still meeting the guidelines that the federal government expects us to meet and state. Also with presentation and also with service time of getting kids through the line in a timely manner. We are looking at, and from some of that feedback specifically, you know, the success of the program, you know, one of the success points has got to be that we do meet the federal and state guidelines, that we are trying to be good stewards with our fiscal resources, and that we are trying to improve our participation rate as well. Success of the program is based on data. What have we seen? We have started a second chance breakfast at the high school and also an egg omelet option. They do that once a week. Is that right, Janice? Once a week. Students and staff have particularly enjoyed the egg omelet option. We have seen an overall increase in breakfast participation. We would like to see lunch participation go up. And we've talked about that as a committee. We've talked about it, you know, as a board. OPA is working to provide menus, production records, recipes that all are in compliance to the state and federal guidelines. They also are doing this, not only do that we meet the guidelines, provide healthy meals for our students and staff, but also ensuring reimbursement to the district. We mentioned the 6 cents increase in reimbursement for meals. We also should note that OPA has been very active in going after grants for us. They did write and secure a garden grant for our garden at Knob Noster Elementary last year. A grant for the summer school program for breakfast and lunch. Last year we were able to, and Janice helped a lot with this, we were able to secure free lunch and breakfast for our summer school programming. We are just now at the point where we're trying to apply for some of those options this year. We don't know if we'll meet the criteria or not in all of our buildings, but we'll definitely go after as many grants and funding reimbursements as we can. We also have participated in the Healthy US School Challenge and were awarded bronze medals, bronze awards, I guess, for Knob Noster Elementary and Whiteman Elementary. And this was due to the number of minutes that our students are physically active in PE, and also with the menu selections we provide that meet the Healthy School Challenge guidelines. Catering events and services have been provided, and numerous donations from OPA has occurred, from our outreach meetings to cookies, tea, and lemonade, coffee, to providing meals, and most notably providing our senior citizen appreciation lunch, which will be a full course meal. We're really excited about that next week. Recommended changes, though, we know there are areas we need to grow in.
I mean, that's bottom line. OPA's very aware of these and committed to making some changes.
We've already put some of those into place. Some of those recommended changes include referring to, we have brought a chef in, Rick Turner from OPA, to give some suggestions. He gave ideas on presentation, on cooking and preparation methods that would make the food a little more desirable to eat, season it, spice it up a little more, and to look at the middle school speed, and really in all buildings, high school to all buildings, the speed of service during lunch. I say the seasoning piece on that I wanted to add is because, there's only so much sodium that can be allowed in the recipes. And I like sodium just as much as anybody else. And, so it does take a while. We also talked about the fact that, our palates don't often develop till a little bit later in life. And so, but we also talked about surveying students, which we are doing. It's that especially our middle school and high school students. We have a survey ready to go. The other thing we talked about was, and Janice has already done this, she is meeting with Miss Chan's career and family classes at the high school to have them pick out the menus for April and May. Is that correct? March. Okay, sorry. March and April, sorry. And we also agreed that we would work on downsizing some of the options and focusing on more of the requested and highly popular menu selections of our students. Because I know we were trying different things and trying to expose our students to different types of food and menus, but we also know maybe we need to look at just, we know what they like, so we may try a few things here and there that are different, but really kind of go back to those menu selections that are kiddos, that are appealing to our kiddos. So I do recommend at this point that we approve the program evaluation as presented. Are there any questions or anything that Janice would like to add to this?
I am working with this Chance class, and we are trying to get the students more involved in the menus and choices that they can make. Because it's their menus, they should have a choice in something. I mean, we can't do a lot of the guidelines, because we have to follow the guidelines. But if they can have choices, I'd like to give them choices. And we can educate and we can talk about it. And this Chance, very, very helpful, very open to this. For the high school students.
And
we are working with them.
And they would be picking the menus for the entire district, or would they be just picking for the high school?
For the high school.
So, and I know, because when we had that meeting, and thank you for addressing the issues that we did come with before, and doing a good job at trying to take care of those. We still have a way to go, but on the high school, that sounds great. And I know at the elementary school you have, I do believe you said, a clean plate award or something. Yes. What are we doing for the middle school?
We don't really have an issue with the waste there as much as we do with the elementary. As I was just talking with Mr. Franklin today, he said he has no complaints from the middle school.
So what's the percentage of the middle school that's eating the school lunches?
The percentage is higher at the middle school than it is the other schools.
It's probably our highest. It is our highest,
Yes, it is.
right, participation school.
It's really right around
About
about 60%.
60%. Because I was just wondering if there was a plan to get more kids, because I hear you with the high school and the elementary. I wasn't sure about the middle school, what that percentage was, if it was low like the high school. Thank you.
I have a follow-on question to that. How middle school being 60%, how's that in correlation to your, or in comparison to your other district or other school districts in the middle school? And actually, I guess you can even speak to the elementaries and the high school. Are we high, low, we average with everybody else in those areas?
Since the new guidelines have been implemented, that's pretty average.
Okay.
So your middle schools
Typically
usually,
died down when those new regulations were implemented. They're on the increase. In fact, the participation here this past month, it has increased the most we've seen all year.
in all buildings? Okay, okay. So the middle school then pretty much across the board is the higher buildings that have kids eating lunches.
Did our enrollment really drop 113 kids from December?
In
until
and
now?
out. Yeah, it has dropped. At one time, Katie helps with, I was looking for it. Katie, we had, at our count date, it was much higher. We did that in the fall, and then we have dropped quite a few students, but that's pretty typical. But we also have enrolled students this week, so it's just really a moving target.
Also for OPA, I have a follow-on question too. And I appreciate everything you're doing because, and I know we're not immune to the negative views on the food that's getting served and the requirements from federal and Department of Agriculture that we have to do that. You know, I want to add too, you guys came on at probably the worst time for our district, which was in line with what the federal mandates were. And, you know, and we went through that if it was our staff, we'd be serving the same foods. But, you know, I've seen some talk on online news sites and stuff. Is there kind of an underground thing going or backdoor within Department of Education or Department of Agriculture to start relaxing some of those federal mandates? And is that gaining any traction, or is that just kind of a few senators talking?
The only two things that are gaining any traction is right now we're 100% whole wheat, whereas last year we were 50-50, and they're talking about going back to the 50-50. And I think I have had 6 DESE reviews, so it's been a lot of time with DESE this year, and they said that they could see that one being relaxed, and some of the sodium requirements might be relaxed, but the rest of it, no.
Thank you.
That would help tremendously though, right? Just those two changes.
It's hard to get good quality products, and the vendors and manufacturers that we work with are slowly catching up. But something 100% whole wheat, it's difficult to get good products. So macaroni and cheese is a prime example. The pasta that goes in that, there's no way to keep that from turning around. So it does not look appealing. But if we go back to the 50-50, we'll be able to get products that will look more like what the kids are used to seeing. So I think that would be a big improvement.
When we talk about not making a profit and not overcharging the kids, I ate at the high school on Monday, and the Capri Suns were $1 a piece. Now, I know when I buy them for my grandkids, I don't pay $1 a piece for them in a box of 10, I believe is what it comes in.
They're $2.19 a box at the dollar store. That includes the tax. So that would be a 350% markup.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
Anyway, well, guys, again, I can speak to that a little bit. We have to build in refrigeration costs, that sort of thing, and
We don't have to refrigerate the Capri Suns.
well, we typically do. I mean, you know, I mean, there is, you know, an increased markup, but there's other things you have to look at.
And we do set the prices for the a la carte based on our purchasing agent that works for OVA. He goes out and gets different bids, but none of that is sold in the schools without the district approval. If they think it's too high, we take it off. So everything that's on there has been approved by your district. Yeah, and you get a percentage off of that a la carte too. It doesn't all come to us.
What do we do with that percentage?
we buy new, updated kitchen, equipment that we need or supplies, honestly. And then we do have
Can we buy,
5 of our own district
can we buy
employees that.
can we buy forks?
Monday when we ate in there, there were no forks in there.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. We are addressing that at the high school and middle school, I believe, forks, and we are ordering some more.
They're taking the salvage. Getting their tin ones.
I keep wondering if that will be handed.
The problem with the forks is the kids throw them in the trash, they bend them into different, different designs and stuff like that, you know, so I don't know if it's because they're frustrated or they just, or, you know, don't have anything else to do with their hands, but they're throwing them in the trash.
Yeah.
And that's my understanding.
We are working on that. Yeah, we're aware of that. Yeah.
All right, any further discussion on this? We do need a motion to approve the
Program evaluation.
Okay, so I'll move we approve the, what is it, the food service program evaluation as presented.
Second.
Motion been made by Matt to approve the food service evaluation as presented, has been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose it.
Okay. Any abstains? Motion passes 6-1-0. Thank you. And then next item is the annual contract renewal for OPA, food service renewal.
Mark, would you like to come speak to our contract renewal?
The contract that you entered into with OPA in, excuse me, 11/12 was a 5-year contract from OPA, and the prices were built in for that 5-year fixed rate all the way through. I think it goes to $1.71. Next year it's $1.62 right now. They are projecting, based on excluding your equipment costs and anything else that you might code to food service, that they would operate in the black next year. But again, that when I say that, please hear me, that anything else you would code to it, like would be supervisor salaries for the cafeteria, any equipment you would purchase, any additional supplies you would purchase, might throw you into the red. Okay. I did want to just mention one thing. Dr. Lorenz mentioned a little bit ago that you'd spent $209,000, $78,000. What she's talking about is the additional taxpayer dollars that you're spending on top of what you're getting reimbursed from the federal, state government, and what your kids are paying for lunch. The total bill for your lunch is much higher than the $78,000.
Right.
But that is the additional taxpayer dollars that you're having to spend out of local money for your food service.
This would be year 3 of our contract, correct? Year 3. And according to the agreement, as per agreement, written notice of such extension is to be made to OPA Food Management Incorporated on or before the first day of April annually. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, requests that an executed copy of the endorsed amendment be forwarded to DESE. So I would have to get this, if approved, get this sent immediately to DESE.
I guess one of the questions real quick that I have, if we're gonna ask questions here, is the overall, for the last year, I figured, according to the DESE information that you all provided me, the overall cost average for the last 5 years was $1.27. And then in 2013 and 14, I don't understand the point set, the lunch cost was 77 cents.
That's how much.
And that's the summary data at the bottom.
That's just the food supply.
That's
part.
just the food supply part.
So
So
follow that first line right there where it says per cost, it's that's just one I can't see, like 316.
yeah.
That's the total.
That's
And
the total.
Underneath that's broken down into the food cost is 77 cents, your labor cost is $1.75, and all other costs.
So the labor cost is remain the same, but the overall food cost is down 40 cents from the year prior. Would there be a reason behind that?
Will there be a purchasing power that we have to to be able to purchase food cheaper than you can as an individual district.
Okay, so that's driving down the cost. Okay, thank you.
And also, Paul, that labor cost will continue to go down as more of your employees would transition over to open.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the percentage is right now, Kate, or
We have 5 district and
5 district.
and 10 open right now.
And another question I have is 2013 and 14 that the overall average daily attendance for the kids eating lunch was 861, and now we're down to 817 according to the supporting document for the program evaluation. But the year, and this is, these USDA standards have changed a lot, and they're a huge factor in how kids drop out of this program because they don't want to eat the food. But it was considerably higher when we had the program, but the USDA wasn't in effect then. So, but I hate to see it, the lunch attendance be down to 817, not knowing where it's going to go next year. So,
Which that's some of the things that Kay and Janice will be working on to help improve that. Your lunch, your breakfast served has gone up considerably from 12-13 to 13-14, about 9,000.
Well, that's a good thing.
And that should continue, because that doesn't include, since we started the omelet bar and some of those other things. So hopefully that will continue to go up.
Well, that's good. That's good.
And the second chance breakfast helps with that too.
And what is that second chance breakfast?
I'm not sure how you're doing it here. You doing it?
Grab and go?
Between first and second block, we go out in the hallway and the students can come and get breakfast at that time and take it to the class or the hall and eat it before they go into class. It's the second chance for them to have breakfast. That's what it is.
Well, that's good.
And we've seen that be very successful across our book of business because high school kids don't get here until it's time to go to class. So they don't get to the cafeteria.
Now, do they have to?
So they get that second chance.
Now, is that a free breakfast or do they have to pay for that breakfast?
Well, it depends. If they're free,
Yeah.
it's free.
Either or.
It's just like it'd be,
Okay.
they served it at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Sunday paying for it.
Yeah.
And I think with the breakfast increase, and I'm just going to say this because there's only so many things you can fix for breakfast. And they are healthy options. I am hoping that we are downsizing our menus for lunch, that we will see our participation rate improve, especially getting that feedback from our kiddos too, our students. So that's what our hope is.
Especially as you get to that 3-week cycle.
Exactly.
You'll put the things in front of them more frequently that they really like.
I'll make a motion to accept the contract renewal as stated.
Motion's been made to accept the OPA food service contract renewal as presented. Is there a second for that?
My second.
Motion's been made by Randy for the OPA food service annual contract renewal. It has been seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Just to clarify where we're at, my understanding is if we don't pass this tonight, right, that we would then not be able to exercise any more for future renewals on this contract. We would be then having to rebid out services.
Yes.
And then we would be at the market rate of whatever those services are today.
Correct.
And as far as our evaluation is just on the value of this contract, there's a pretty good deal going here. I mean, that's what I've been kind of gathered from what we've talked about.
Fiscally, yes.
Fiscally.
It's the responsible thing, being a good steward right now to do. That would be correct because those prices have been locked in for food. Now, as Mrs. Davis said, and I agree 110%, Ms. Davis, we've made some improvements, but we do have areas we need to grow in. And I've seen OPA be responsive to those. We're going to continue that proactive communication and, try to make some improvements.
What you're saying is right, Matt, but the people in the district don't like the food.
Well,
I think
what you're saying is right to some extent, but we don't need to invoke a panic situation or thinking it's the end of the world by getting rid of a contractor. Now, all these other schools out there don't have contractors, lots of them, Lamont, Warrensburg, and they're operating just fine. So it's not the end of the world if a contractor has to go away in a situation like this.
That's true, but I don't think that
You
we
know.
would be in the position, I think we'd probably be in the position where we were a couple years ago. If we were to quote unquote get rid of a contract, not just to move away totally from a contracting situation, we're looking at adding $150,000 to the bottom line every year. And I don't fiscally, I can
I guess-
understand the argument, and granted, we all know that OPA came on at the wrong time. They got branded with what the USDA regulation says. OPA got the bad name, not the USDA.
But I guess my question is, how do these other schools do it and still financially?
Well, they just take it. They just pay for it.
Well, yeah, they're going to have to pay for it.
I'm just saying that
regardless.
they're not breaking even, getting anywhere close to breaking even.
Well, we don't know that information at this time. I mean, we don't know if they're breaking even or not, but they're doing something.
I would
that must
agree.
be right.
I would agree that we don't have that fully, taken care of. I also agree that if we're talking about not doing something here right now, then we're talking about taking a pretty big risk.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, we were taking a beating before when we were in-house. And one of the things was doing was the salaries and all, trying to keep up.
Wealth and health
we
and
were,
welfare
we're
benefits
talking
and so forth,
$200
yes.
some $1,000 in a hole.
Yes,
that we-
but
and
apparently,
we're not doing now.
yep, I understand that.
We also represent.
But we also have a lot less personnel than we had at that time. We have half the workforce practically on staff in our kitchens as opposed to when the program first started. So, when you have an overall labor cost that's cut in half, you're going to have, it's going to cost less money.
And anytime there's a change in labor, though, that's a savings for the district. That's not a savings to OPA.
Well, it is a savings for the district. But if we said, hey, OPA's no longer going to be here in the Knob School District, what do? We hire all the kitchen staff we've got, which is half of the kitchen staff we had prior to OPA. So I'm just saying that we've got less kitchen staff, which means less money. But we're still it's still costing us money in the end.
And the other thing I think we can't lose sight on is, and you brought it up earlier, and he of course did too, is, we're also not in the business of the district going out and buying food. We can't leverage that. And so that was a big cost years ago on top of the labor piece. We would still have to provide the same USDA requirements for food. Students still aren't going to like that food. And by the way, then we don't have someone, we would then have to bring someone in on staff that's going to make sure we're meeting those nutrition requirements, that's educated in that, essentially a chef, because they're a lot tighter. Not to say that, in the past we didn't have a nutritionist on staff to do that. But that's the other part. And, we don't have to worry about figuring out what the food mix is right now.
But
we can sit and figure out what's good for kids. Are we feeding kids? Can we feed them better? Sure. I'm not going to say we are doing a great job. We've heard enough of that. But, the other side is we aren't sitting here focusing how many bananas are we buying next month and how many pieces of bread are we buying? Where are we getting our milk from? Yes, we got to pay a bill to OPA to help cover that. And we are paying some food costs, but we're getting leveraged food purchases too.
And I think that I know in the meeting that we had, getting the food out to the public, letting them taste what the kids are having was an issue because we have so many people in the community that are upset about the program. So we did talk about that as well, as how can you as OPA get out in the community, let the people try the food, let them see, what we have to deal with, and providing the best that we can. And so we have talked about that, and I'm interested in seeing the recommendations you all have for that.
Good point.
Yeah, I think that outreach is very, very important, and to see OPA very much a partner in community outreach. And Janice and I have talked about that a little bit as well. I know our committee talked about that a great deal. So hopefully the Knob Fair would be one of those avenues that we talked about. Outreach, yeah.
Well, and I guess, some of them will get it on the
Next week.
19th.
Yeah, next
Well.
week, absolutely.
I think the numbers speak for themselves, the numbers are down. you know, we've already gone over this, so let's, you know. Since we're representing a community, I have a vote in the way the community has spoken to me.
Did somebody made a motion already, I
No
believe?
motion yet.
Yeah, Randy made a motion and Jim seconded it, so we had conversation, now we need to vote. You're right, Ms. Matthews, yeah. Yeah,
I
I have it written
apologize.
down.
My eyes stayed open, I
Maybe.
can. All right, apologize for that. Okay, motion's been made, and seconded to approve the OPA annual food service contract renewal. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstains? That was 2 opposed, correct?
2 opposed.
So motion passes 5, 2, and 0. No abstains. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation and good discussion, everybody, too, on board. All right, next item is setting the April Board of Education meeting date. Our election is on the 7th, and we have to certify the results of that election, and the county does that, and there's no way we're going to get that in a day, because board meeting would be that next day. So we were looking at pushing to the following Wednesday, which was the 15th. Last year, you'll remember we pushed it out 2 weeks, but that delay was because of spring break that whole next week. And that was the only reason we pushed 2 weeks last year. So
What happened all the years past? I mean, we've had hundreds of elections and it's always been the board met on the day. I mean, why the necessity to do
the
that?
board never met on the day after, but what happened in the past years is you have election at, last year we
Last
pushed
year
it 2
you
weeks.
didn't meet, that's right.
Right.
But the previous years. you
What's
had.
happened the last couple of years is election is on that first week of the month, or I'm sorry, the second week because of the way it falls, and our board meeting's on the second.
But last year they had the votes were certified the next morning, right?
No.
They asked for a full 48 hours at least to certify.
Well, that's what they asked
So,
for,
but just because the vote's posted on the website does not mean it's certified with the Secretary of State.
Yeah, because I saw it on the website. but
Yeah,
this
that doesn't count.
This is a rather small midterm election.
Right, but it still doesn't, when they post that, it doesn't count. It has to go to the Secretary of State's to be certified. And if we sat on that and then something changed, then we'd have good grounds for somebody to sue us.
I see.
Yeah.
It's really the
I mean, it's a
We're
good
trying to avoid
It's
that.
a good question to ask why.
Yeah,
That's
oh
what
yeah,
I would like
you're
to know.
right, yeah.
So when are you trying to move it to?
Just the next
The week following.
Wednesday.
Which is?
The 15th.
Yeah, the first Tuesday this year is actually on the second week of the month, because the second Wednesday is that same week as the election. And years before, so if, say for instance, the first this year was on Tuesday, that's when we would be voting, and our meeting wouldn't be until then, that following week, so. Just the way it
So why did
falls.
he push it back 2 weeks last year? Oh,
Spring
because-
break was that following week.
That was only
And there was
recent.
no prepping for the meeting.
No.
So I'll move we approve the April 15th board meeting for 7 p.m. for a regular board meeting that month. And Katie, you can clean that up, make it sound a lot more, correct.
I'll second it.
All right, motion's been made to approve the board meeting to be held on the 15th of April. Has been seconded. Motion's made by Matt. Any further discussion on that? As no discussion, further discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstains? Motion passes 7-0. And the next item of business, the Board of Education Professional Development Plan Review.
Okay, we have that in our board packet, and we are leading by example, and all of our teachers, and we've asked our classified staff actually to write goals and professional development plans. And so we're doing that as well. It's the Board of Education modeling that. And I know we had set a couple SMART PD goals, and then we did align some action steps. And so just kind of want to
look at what we have done there. On goal 1, by July 2015, Knob Board of Education members will develop a budget that specifically identifies instructional resources, retain and hire quality teachers to support increased student achievement and instructional technology. And the progress steps that we've made so far, and please add if we've done some more things, but did write down board members will participate in a workshop, which is one of the things we listed earlier, with MSBA reviewing the roles and roles of board members and how effective boards impact student achievement. We did that on June 26th. That should say 2014. Apologize. We'll change that. Board members will develop an understanding of the need model for professional learning and growth. That's ongoing. We do try to give updates about how we're doing. Board members will attend regional meetings we did have some board members attend on October 30th. We do have another opportunity on April the 9th to attend the one in Holden, because those are professional development opportunities. As the video shared and I highlighted, it's going to emphasize school safety. At that meeting, I'm sure they will share some legislative updates as well, because they are an advocacy group, professional group, but school safety is the theme.
I need you there to vote for me.
And we need to vote for Matt. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So anything we want to add to those, or are we ready to go on to goal 2?
Well, I have a question about this. Do we have to go to the board I mean, when we signed up, there was 8 hours of training. We go to the MSBA, the June 26th thing. We're knowledgeable in the NEE and trying to become knowledgeable in that, because that has, you're a part of that and so on like that. I guess I take offense to being told that I have to go to more meetings.
Is it mandatory?
Well, you all approved this. I didn't do it. You all approved this last summer when we had these conversations and action steps. But we are a learning organization. So I think it's all our responsibilities, to grow professionally. But this is your plan. You all wrote this. Yes, you did last summer.
No, that's not one of the 3 topics that was on the board, Dr. Lorenz.
It was for professional development. You all did this back you all did it. No, those are our goals. We wrote these back in the fall. You all created a professional development plan, and our district goals are, we know, increase student achievement, especially in ELA, language arts, increase communication with all stakeholders through a variety of communication methods. And goal 3, implement instructional technology effectively. From there, then we spoke in the fall. We did that in the summer, and you're right, Mrs. Matthews, but in the fall, we created this professional development plan collectively as a board and suggested strategies so that we would grow.
I guess what she's saying, we created it as a board,
yes,
but we didn't know it pertained to the board. You see what I'm saying?
Well, it does say up here, Board of Education Professional Development Plan, no. And we're just doing that to model what, we've asked other staff members to do, Mr. Birch.
None of the meetings are mandatory.
No.
It just comes down to the flat option. If time works out for you, that you're free that night, it's an additional opportunity to learn something different, learn more, to be a better board member, to be more informed as a board member. Not necessarily it's going to make you a better board member, but you're going to be more informed. If you're able to get information about being a board member in other avenues, those are out there and those are on the table for any one of us. The regional meetings, no, they're not mandatory. The bonus to a regional meeting, if you go, is you get the professional development. But if we get a quorum there, 4 members, and we get the superintendent, we also get in a drawing for $250 or $300, whatever it is, that goes towards a scholarship for a student in our district. It is drawing, but the last meeting, 2 boards met it, so 50-50 chance to make that. But, and that's a side thing. Some of it, the networking piece, you're there, you're going to see other people that are in your district, in your conference, that, you can sit at their table. You don't have to sit at our table. It's not assigned seating. and you can start that networking process and build some of those relationships. But no, none of them are mandatory. This is just kind of a guide, what we would like to do, what we think we can do to meet our goals that we did set last fall, and how we think we can get there. Can it be adjusted? By all means, and we will revisit, this coming year also and reset some of these goals.
Well, I guess the question was it mandatory? Because every meeting that I've been to pertaining to, the training and so forth, I took something away from it, that I learned.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but the question pretty much was, is it mandatory?
Yeah,
No, it's just if you're available. But I didn't write this plan for y'all. I mean, we sat in the fall and, you all brainstorm ideas and we wrote them down. The other piece of that is, we are a member of mayor, and there's a mayor conference in the fall as well. And we can look at, options there too for training and support. So, on goal 2.
I think they'll go into the thing just simply the right thing to do. I mean, if you have stuff, we're all on board. We all agreed to go and be a part of these things. We know that everybody can't make every single one, but if we can do that as a board and meet the quorum, well, then that's what we're supposed to do. Those are things that we're supposed to do to help become better. And I understand people are busy, but at the same time, that's just stuff that we agreed to do. And so I understand there's times when people can't make it. I have not been able to make some of them due to work, whatever restrictions, but that's what you're there to do. You're there to serve, and you're there to do that part. And whether people want to agree with it or not, and all I'm saying is I just think it's the right thing for you to do as a board member.
Well, I agree with you on the right thing to do, but when you start listing the things you should do, my opinion would be, hey, listen, we need people to eat in lunchrooms, figure out what these kids are having for lunch. Hey, let's get out and talk to these teachers and stuff. There's a wide variety or range of things that a board member needs to participate in to better themselves as a board member and learn more on how to do their job, so.
Yeah, that's a two-way street.
It is. I mean, there's
And
a
I'll
lot
tell you
to
what,
learn.
the districts, there's some districts don't send anybody to the conferences. There's some that have some all the time. And I'll tell you, at MSBA, those districts that don't participate don't get as much support. And believe me, that backdoor support helps districts. If you don't attend these, you don't get a chance to submit your board for outstanding board of the year. There's a lot of things you miss out on if your district don't support. Now, everybody don't have to attend. I was on the board of directors for 6 years, and I know how that back door can kill you if you ain't participating in the program that MSBA puts on.
I agree.
Our goal 2 that for our PD plan that you all had set, again, I just wrote down what y'all, ideas y'all brainstormed. It was by July 2015, Noster Board of Education members will engage all stakeholders in 3 communication initiatives. And progress steps, at least that I had written down, we may have some more things to add to these. Board members identified 3 positive talking points to share with stakeholders. We did that in the summer when we set our goals, and that's ongoing. We continue to want to share good news and good things that are going on in our district. Board members will develop 3 initiatives to engage stakeholders, i.e., for example, meet the candidate in March. Well, that's next week. We've also had community coffee outreach opportunities on September 9th of 2014. We had the Veterans Day breakfast district-wide. Many of our board members came out that day as well, and to the coffee. November 18th, we had a stakeholder focus group for Mission 2020. Had some board members attend that, as well as, some community members and our staff. And then on March 17th, we have a Meet the Board of Education Candidate Forum that we're helping to host with Nat. And I'm sure we'll have some board members there that evening. And then on March 19th, we are hosting a senior citizens appreciation luncheon. So, we've done well. We've done a lot in growing.
And the third thing we had talked about a little bit, board members will investigate the development of a district dashboard. That's kind of ongoing, and I want to share that we're going to some NEE training this summer, and they have prepared a lot of online data and somewhat of a dashboard. They don't call it that, but it's NEE module. It's going to be a collection of all data pieces. And so I think we'll be able to extract that and put some of that on our website. So I didn't really see that Matt really needed to go to all that extra effort to develop a program that would do that, when I feel like we'll get that training this summer and be able to do that through NEE. If that sounds okay to the board. Again, this is your professional growth plan that you all create. So just wanted to provide an update.
Rejected, but it rejected, I don't care.
No, I'm not gonna reject it. I'm agreeable to most of it, you know.
And the
I
deal
mean,
is,
engaging
it's-
the public, the meeting, you know, I agree. Yeah. I mean, and nobody, and nobody does that more than you do, Christie. I mean, you're out there at the Lions Club meetings and everything else and the breakfasts, you know, that's good. Thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Burchett. It's important to stay in touch with our stakeholders.
I mean, the question, like I said, the question I had was the mandatory part.
It's not mandatory.
If you
No.
can't be there, what do you do?
Right. I mean, life happens. It's, no.
Do we need a motion or just?
No, this was just an update of where we were at. We'll review it at the end of the, year too. And we rewrite one. This summer we can rewrite one when we do our goals.
But like I said, that would be a question on whether or not it's mandatory. I don't want to shoot myself in the foot with my own, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you passed it, now you gotta go.
No.
Somebody else.
It's just, we were trying to lead by example. We had asked our team
Well,
members
thank
to
you,
do it.
Christie.
Yeah. Just kind of capturing what we've done as a board, what y'all have done as a board.
Any further discussion, anybody?
Not on that, but I have a couple things I'd like to maybe mention.
If it's not on the agenda,
It's not on the.
Okay.
So we can't say thank you to Mr. Hill and Mr. Johnson.
No, please don't say thank you.
No, I don't.
Oh, we got one more meeting.
They'll be here next month. Yes.
They've got one
It's
more
on the
meeting.
agenda. It's on the agenda. Because they will be, they will set and actually open the meeting up, and then there will be a swearing in ceremony.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ms. Matthews. That's a
I
very
think there's a roll
important,
somewhere.
thoughtful thing to do.
We have to open the meeting.
Thank you
All right,
for the,
that time I'd make a
Thank-
motion to, oh, I'm sorry. go ahead.
thanks for the recap on what we've done since setting the goals. Go ahead.
So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn open session, move to executive session pursuant to collective bargaining, RSMO 610.021, paragraph 9, for preparation, including any discussion, performance ratings, product on behalf of a public governmental body, and then personnel pursuant to RSMO 610.021, paragraph 3, and RSMO 610.021, paragraph 13.
Motion, okay, motion's been made to adjourn open session, move into executive session. And it has been, motion was made by Randy, has been seconded. The motion is to adjourn open session, move into executive session to discuss collective bargaining pursuant to RSMO 610.021, paragraph 9, and to discuss personnel pursuant to RSMO 610.021, paragraph 3, and RSMO 610.021, paragraph 13. Executive session is roll call vote. Ms. Davis, any discussion on that? Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Ms. Matthews?
Aye.
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 I'm affirmative. Motion passes 7-0 via roll call vote. Let's take a 10-minute break and reset. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for those
Yes,
that
thank
hung
you
out
for
for the
coming.
meeting.
Be back at 11.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's a different room.
Yes, definitely.
Katie got to change the room around.
There you go. Because of the projector.
Thank you, Brett.
We've not, like the number 8, so.